Hey, buddy. Hello. There we go.
All right, good to go. Hello, gamers. It is Nice. Welcome to another episode of Ashes of Creation's Voices of Vera live stream with myself, Nice Gaming, no one, and of course you, the Voices of Vera. We are back with another weekend. This is our first post Alpha 2 weekend. This is our first episode since actually getting our hands on the game really and streaming it. So I'm excited to talk with no one, talk with you guys in chat. And pretty much the goal of today's stream is to really just listen to the community, get you guys' thoughts. What were your experiences? Everyone obviously has their own opinion. What issues did you run into? I've seen a huge variety of opinions, to say the least, as far as this MMO's first test weekend. Magisto, how you doing? Welcome on in. Dimmer, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you guys being here so early. So pretty much want to get this kind of get the community's overall feedback. Maybe we get some numbers on a scale of 1 to 10. Maybe we just kind of see what the varying experiences was, from bugs to server performance to how far you got to level 10. I did put a poll on Reddit that I haven't checked on as far as how many people got to level 10. I think that'll be fun to check in on at some point during stream. But yeah. Um how was your weekend aside from Alpha 2? No one? I think he's gone.
That's right when I had to step away. It was good, man. So I talked about it a lot, but I decided to wait and see on Friday. And then I wait and saw, and then I saw everybody was getting in, and there were some issues, but people got in. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I got in, and once I got out of the starter zone, everything was fine. And I was excited to hop on Saturday, and then Saturday night the servers went down, so I missed out on some time there. And I was like, okay, we'll have some time Sunday. I'll have some time Sunday afternoon. And then it didn't happen there. And so my biggest disappointment, I think, is the fact that when I wanted to hop on, the servers went down through no fault
Yeah,
of anybody's own. I just wanted to play more. so
yeah.
but yeah, I had a good time. Everything went pretty well overall, in my opinion, from what we tested before. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty good weekend. I mean, most of it was Ashes of Creation, and then Sunday was, I got on Sunday, and maybe we'll talk about this more later. But I got on Sunday, I hit level 10. I was able to finally equip all that gear that I had,
Yep.
and I was so excited. Like everything changed so much. I did some like practice runs on some mobs, and like the power creep, the power escalation from getting that gear, from hitting level 10, from getting a certain new passive, like all of it was just glorious. And then as I'm making my thumbnail for stream, DDoS attack happens. Oh, it was insane. We'll talk more about that here in a second. But yeah, how you doing, Nephew? Welcome on in. Dimmer says, I don't know if I can rate it on a 1 to 10. I think it was a test that did exactly what they set out to do, and I was impressed by the response from Intrepid. Very true. Very true. They did make some corrections pretty quick. And it looks like they were able to test a lot. Maybe a lot of stuff that it's good that it happened when it did and not later. That being the DDoS attack. Whoever decided to help Intrepid test their cybersecurity, that happened Sunday. There was a lot that I'm sure they learned and have already corrected for the second weekend. So um, we often talk about, well, I know I often talk about like how I'm going to keep track of like how much Intrepid progresses, the rate at which they progress,
Yep.
especially between phases. And I don't expect groundbreaking changes from one weekend to the other. But I'm excited to see how much changes and how much is implemented from week 1 to week 2. They got their PTR currently going where they've already are testing a lot of different things, trying to get those connections right for next weekend, and testing things like gear drops and things like that right now. So it's going to be exciting to see what they have done by Friday come launch time. So yeah.
Yeah. It's super interesting
Hey, Danny.
because I watched a few reacts. I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit. And there were some people that understood, like this is an alpha, this is an incomplete product, and they're looking at it through that lens, and other people are like looking at through the lens of a game. That is, I'm hopping on to play this. Is this like a game? And I think a lot of that is just player inexperience, just not knowing, what's what and everything. And a lot of people haven't seen a true alpha, and they think it's early access, and like, man, this needs a lot of work. And it does. It definitely does.
Yeah.
And the one thing I'll say is this weekend was fun. Next weekend's going to be more fun, in my opinion, because like Nyce knows this. Everybody that was in pre-alpha 2 knows this. The amount of progress this team makes on bug fixes is so freaking cool to see. It's so cool to see how fast and how quickly stuff gets adjusted. And so I think the first weekend went well. We can probably give a grade if you wanted to, but I'm just so excited to see how much farther they're at next weekend, and how much farther they're at the weekend after, and when they start rolling out content. Because it's like, guys, if this is the bare bones of is this the worst it's going to be? Like, man, we're in for some fun.
Yeah. I mean, there's nowhere to go but uphill, hopefully, from here, right? So I think that's a good mindset to have. I think a lot of us knew as soon as those servers went live. Like, I remember as soon as I started stream, I'm loading in, everybody's like, get out of the starting area, get your mount, get out of there. And that's what we did. And as a lot of you know, if you get kicked out the server while you're in that Lionhold server grid or whatever, you're done. Like, you're going right back
Yeah.
to the end of the queue line. And so eventually players learned, and like a lot of people advised me, yo, go log out as far away from there as you can. You'll have an easier queue, and that tended to work out better. So yeah, it was fun. So let's just, I guess, just dive into it and chat. Let me know what your experiences were, but I think it was really good. Obviously, as you guys know, I did have a chance to test the game before it came out. I made sure that most of my testing was pretty much right around Lionhold. Like, I just farmed the goblins. I think I only hit level 7 or 8 during the test. Just farming goblins, messing with a couple of systems, and that was pretty much it. So getting out, the stream, being able to see the world, venture out west towards Jova, like leveling up that node, getting some grinding in. It was a good time. It was a good time. It's a it was a very memorable moment that we'll always have. It was like it felt like a day one launch day, right? I know it's
Yeah.
just a test, you guys. We know it's just a networking test, but it felt like a true MMO launch day, and that feeling that you just don't get. I wonder if the November 8th people will feel the same way. I know it's not technically, I know people would have technically played before them, but I hope the people that's coming in on November 8th get that same feeling that we did.
Yeah, man, I think they will without as many issues. That's just how optimistic I am with the
True.
changes that I saw so quickly. Like, I very well could be wrong. They could add more people. They could experience more bugs and everything. But I went into this first 2 months of the alpha test. I was like, you know what? First weekend might suck. Second weekend will probably suck too. Third weekend will probably suck. And that from a performance perspective, I didn't think that the actual content sucked. I just thought performance is going to be really bad with that many people
Yeah.
on. It was so good relative to my expectations. My expectations were zero. And the fact that it was workable and it was functional, and the minute you got it a Lionhold, everything worked and it fired, I was like, okay, I can do this. Okay, I can no life in alpha on the weekends. Maybe I'll have to adjust my sleep schedule and just not sleep Friday through Sunday, and then I'll just make up the sleep Monday through Friday. And
Yeah.
then, like, it was so good. I just wish it was Friday already. Like that's how much fun I had just in the world, exploring it, encountering other people. I think a lot of players are going to make their own content, and they're going to make their own
Yes.
content long enough for new content to get out there.
Very well said. To kind of piggyback off what you said there, I think that's one of those things that's going to take this test really far. We often talk about tester retention, like how long until these people start dropping like flies testing this alpha 2. A lot of people get in. I mean, already probably, right? A lot of people get in, they realize, yeah, I'm not doing this, or I'll come back when this is a little bit more finished. It's like, this is more bare bones, even more than I expected. And I knew it was a
Yeah.
test. I see a lot of that. There's a lot of people like, oh, there's just not enough content. I'll come back later. I'm tired of sitting in this queue. And just certain game elements itself, even once you get past server performance, is going to make testers fall off, especially after a wipe, right?
Yep.
And I still think that this game, while it will have a tester, a big drop off, right? I think some of those hardcore followers of Ashes, the ones that's been following it for a long time, like that dedicated fan base, they will stick around because of those sandbox elements that you talked about, the political stuff, the social aspects of the game, things like that. Just good old PvP and good combat and just a fun gameplay loop will keep players around, even when they've seen all the quests or the quests just aren't impressive, story
Yeah.
arcs aren't online, all that stuff. I think that will keep people around. So yeah. Let's catch up with the voices of Vera here. Snoy, how you doing? JR says, bro, I'm livid right now. Thanks for the follow, Epics. He says, I'm livid right now. People been so negative. AOC dropping alpha. I had the most fun on a video game I've had in the last 15 years on a Thursday night, not
Yeah.
even the weekend. Yeah, dude. You're gonna see a lot of mixed opinions out there, right? I'm
Yep.
seeing it like Els talked about at the beginning, like I'm seeing it all over the scale. I'm seeing a lot of like both ends of the extreme. Like, oh my gosh, look what this is all they came up with. And then I'm seeing like, oh my, like what you said, like this is better than anything. This is better. Well, let me not say it's better than any fully released product, but people are saying they're having more fun. They had more fun testing this weekend than they're having on their fully released MMOs, if that makes sense,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So two different things, obviously fun and what actually is more quality. But of course, like I know I had more fun. I'm just sitting here itching, ready to get back in. But yeah.
Yeah.
Douglas, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna just quick piggyback off that. I know some people, and I'm not going to acknowledge the haters anymore because now we know that the game exists. You know, it's not vaporware like a bunch of you guys are believing. So you know what, you guys can go hide in a corner and be sad that the game actually worked. You know, maybe run some files to corrupt the servers on a Sunday again. But regardless, my my entire point that I'm trying to make is I haven't been this excited to hop on a game in over a year. The last time I got this excited, close to this excited, was last year during when they released artifacts for New World. I thought that that was a great
Mm,
change. Like, that was really fun to theory craft and make new builds and everything. But the closest I've been to this was like 5 years ago for ESO. Like
yeah.
that's like when it was like, man, like they came out with a bunch of new sets and your theory craft and you're coming up with new builds. Like, and that, like, when I was excited about that, that's how I felt this last weekend. And I know I've been looking for other MMOs for a while. I know people are going to say, well, you're looking at it through rose-colored glasses. I thought the exact same thing about PAX. I really did. I was very
Mm.
excited about PAX. I hopped in. I did not have the same reaction with PAX. Like, I wasn't like coping like, oh man, maybe after the 1 millionth tree I chopped down, this is going to be fun. Like,
Right.
this was actually enjoyable. I had a lot of fun doing this.
Right. This was like, I mean, don't get me wrong, chat. Like, I know a lot of it was excitement, but that I legitimately had fun. I legitimately had fun, even through frustrations, and that's exactly how I expected it. There's a frustrating bug. Like I had one bug I was complaining about, like probably once every 30 minutes on stream, or more recent. Or you get a lot of XP that you're like, dang. But you know what? And we'll dive more into XP debt here shortly, but the doesn't it feel so good to feel so bad? Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like,
Yeah.
doesn't it feel so bad to have a punishing consequence in a video game? Like, when's the last time? I think only Elden Ring has ever given me that feeling as of late. Like, when you
Yeah.
die, you got to go back and get your runes, or maybe you die inside of a boss room, and so your runes are stuck in that room, and so you're like, I'm gonna have to keep, running in there, picking up my runes, and hoping that I can defeat the boss that time. Thanks for the follow, Deft.
Yeah.
So if XP debt low key, it was annoying. I was in negative debt for a while. Don't judge me, but it made me have fun. It gave a sense of reward when I finally got out of it, and yeah.
Well, and there's a cap on it too, right? Like you don't drop a level, you don't lose skills. Like it, you do lose that progress, and I'm sure as we advance further, and it takes like 20 hours to get between levels, you know that XP debt's going to hurt a little bit
Oh
more.
yeah.
You know, I totally understand that perspective as well, but also like you said, we've made this comparison in the past, and comparing like runes dropped on Elden Ring to XP debt, in the same sense that, you know, the in Elden Ring you have to add the runes to your character in order to level up. You never drop a level, you just drop the ability to add a level. And I think XP debt works. It's not the same. I'm not trying to say it's the same, but you get kind of the same vibe. Like, this is important. This life is
Yes.
important. It is
Mhm.
important that I don't die in some stupid fucking way, because I'm going to set myself back. And that extra intensity in the game is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yes. Sir Douglas says, like, he says, like, none. I didn't play too much. Same reasons, but when I was on, I had tons of fun grouping up with the guilty, grinding mobs, and did a little bit of PvP. Seemed very smooth. Yeah, man, it was surprisingly smooth. I'm not saying the servers were perfect, because as we know, the starting zone had some issues. But man, once you got out of there, I was actually surprised it ran as good as it did. There was one point, I think Saturday midday, where the mobs on the western side of the map just had no animations, and I was like, yeah, let me get away from here. And then the mobs on the other side of the map were better. I think that was on stream. But man, that first day, like, chat, if you go back and watch my long ass VOD from that first day, it was unexpectedly brilliant. And I know not everybody had the same experience as me, right? I looked around, I watched the videos, I saw the VODs. Everybody didn't have the same experience. Like, I was talking with Narc during the first stream, and I was like, "Oh," he's like, "How you liking it?" I was like, "Oh, how you liking it?" And then he was like, "Yeah, I can't even get in." He ran across a meshing wall and just got kicked, and so was sitting in queue for a long time. So everybody didn't have the same experience I did. But man, that first day, performance, the ads behavior, like everything was just so peak, and I'm like thankful for that experience. But yeah, it was a good time. Ascon says, "Dear Nice, I heard you, sir, flew around with the flying mount and could explore Vera from above. Lucky you." I did not get a flying mount. That is not true. Nope, nope, nope. That is not true. Not true at all. Yeah, it can only get better from now. Crash says, "I had a blast. I was gladly waiting in queues after crashing because I can clearly see how good it's going to be once it's fully cooked." Yes, dude. Makes me wonder how different it's going to be when there's multiple starting areas. I don't think it's on their roadmap, but chat, I don't think it's on their roadmap. Somebody let me know, but I wonder when we're getting new starting areas. I wonder how soon that is on the roadmap. Dimmer says, "Low key, I love the lack of teleport function, having to run around." Yes, it was brilliant. Like, it makes the world seem huge, does it not? Like, I've talked about this before, but I remember when I was playing World of Warcraft, once I got a flying mount, once I did like the Dragonflight quest line or whatever it was, and I got that flying mount, and I just breezed by all the content. I just flew like, if my quest marker wasn't there, I wasn't landing. Like, the world instantly became smaller. Um, new Same thing with like New World. Once you unlock your fast travel points or you get your mount these days, the world just gets smaller. And not
Yeah.
having fast travel in Ashes, like, yeah, we only got the Riverlands after all this time. And you got a slice of the desert, you got a slice of the tropics, but didn't the world feel huge to you guys? Like, when I was linking up with guildies, it's like, oh, they were on the opposite side of the map of me. I was like, God dang, I gotta ride past Lionhold. I gotta go this way. I gotta go around here, and it was like a X amount of minutes away. I was like, man, I gotta go all this. So imagine I gotta go all this far. So imagine when there's like what is it, like 18 biomes, bro? Like,
Yeah.
this world is going to feel huge. This is like, people are asking me like, what percentage of the game do you think is done? I'm like, man, I don't even think this is 5 to 10. I would say it's probably 5 to 10% of the game. Not even counting systems, probably just landmass wise. Not to be hyperbolic, but this
Yeah.
is barely a fraction, man.
Yeah. That's the funny part when you look at it, and when you consider that, you know, there's what, like 19 more biomes to do. This one's not fully completed. There's an open sea area. You have all these things. You have all this content, and we have just, and then it's triple the population, right? Like, there's
Hmm.
going to be 3 times more people on a world that size. Like, on a server popped world that we're currently experiencing, it's going to probably be more population dense than what the actual game will be. And so it's just kind of funny to consider, like, this is big, this is spacious, you get to explore. It's like you're exploring like a world. And obviously, they're not done yet. Like, they're still cooking, they're still putting stuff in there, but like imagining like this and people having to go somewhere, it's a choice. Like it is a strong decision. Like I was listening to one of Steven's Q&A's talking about, I think it might have been Vladis's, but they were talking about the the spawn points and how if you travel too far away, you can no longer spawn back to your home spawn point, because literally like you're outside of that area. If you're within the area, everything's fine. But if you choose to travel halfway across the map, you can't just snap your fingers and go back home. Like you got to ride your ass back home.
Yes.
And I think that's great, because it's like, yeah, if you want to travel across the world, you want to do this big caravan run, cool. You're risking a lot to travel across the world. You're going to get a huge reward. But the other risk is if your node gets under siege, you got to haul your ass back. If people start getting ganked, you got to haul your ass back. And those things are super interesting. All of your choices really matter on what you do, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, man. HD, welcome on in. Snow, I saw the bugs and everything, but it looks like fun. I envy you guys a lot. Yeah, dude, it's a good time. It's a good time for this just to be intended to test their networking. I'm having a good time. Had a blast coordinating with others all weekend. Haven't seen that since like the Destiny 1 release. Yeah, to be fair, wild storyline. JR says, like always, what was bad, the bugs and connectivity, but the moment that's where, yeah, and I think I think you got to acknowledge a lot of people genuinely just had fun, just having fun, and that new MMO experience. And thank you for the follow, Pon, and thank you for the follow, Blanc site. Appreciate you guys. Um, Surfer says, oh wait, yeah, Surfer says, I mean, if you're counting non-MMO games, Valheim can be a brutal loss for death, 5% on normal difficulty. Games just need some penalty, like just getting a free respawn,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even Mario gave you like, what was it? You got, oh, I got 3 lives left, and you at least had some consequences of failure. Dome says, made me swear at the lazy cowards. As a cleric running from 4 things, I accidentally aggroed, but in a good way. I almost cared enough to swear at them. Like, you need that penalty. You need that risk. You need something to make you, bro. It could be like 3 goblins, and in another game, that's like nothing. Like, oh, let me go ahead and press 3 AoE skills and 2 basic attacks. Now you're like, I think I can handle those 3 goblins, but is it worth it? Like, let me just pull one at a time. And it's been a long time since we had that, and I'm glad that we're already seeing that difficulty in Ashes. I'm glad it's already letting people know and reaffirming the type of game that it wants to be. I think that's good that it's letting you group up. I know a lot of solo players may be annoyed, and there's some stuff you can pull solo if you play it right, especially with a ranged weapon, but it's going to be slower. It's going to be less effective, but I think that's how it should be in an MMO. I think every archetype should have its role. I think grouping should have its role, and I think it's just reinforcing that social aspect of an MMO, which is okay,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Thank you for the follow, Hacks. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, we don't have to rehash old MMO gripes and everything, but I miss open world being challenging. That's what I really miss.
Yes.
I miss the challenge of open world. I miss things putting you on your toes. Like if it's too easy, and if you're setting yourself up for the lowest common denominator for everybody to get in and complete content, sure, maybe more people will play your game, but it's to a point in time, right? And then they're like, okay, well, I'm done playing. Like, I've beaten everything. I'm good at this game too. It's like, no, you're not. I mean, you're not good at the game. You just beat it because it's fucking easy. And like with this, yeah, I mean, there's, like we said, there's not a lot out there right now. There's not a lot of systems fully online. And so because some systems aren't online, it throws some other things out of whack. Like we were just talking in our guild chat today about the node system, and about how, like, some mayors are working together, and it's like, yeah, until nodes can rise and fall, like you're gonna have this collusion, because there's really no risk or reward. There's no risk for anything. And so people are gonna be like, well, we're the same level, I don't have to worry about this person, like, vassailing me because he can't level up, so we're just going to work together, we're going to be friends, and we're going to control the nodes, and this is how it's going to work. And that those stuff like that's going to be a little lame for a little bit, of course. But I went back and I looked at other games for research for other stuff, and I looked at World of Warcraft videos. I looked at some hardcore videos talking about the risk and reward, and why I was looking at leveling experiences for a video. And people brought up the point of World of Warcraft's leveling experience was a lot of fun. And that's why hardcore actually took off so well, because, you know, if you died in the game, yes, there was a lot of risk there, but
Yeah.
people genuinely enjoyed doing the storyline and leveling up so much that when they died, it was like, okay, well, I get to roll another character. It's fun. It's
Yeah.
replayable. Everything's really cool there. And I think you see a lot of similarities in this, and just like how there's a lot of replayability. Like it's just a lot of it's going to be player driven through
Yeah.
animosity and strife, but yeah, I mean that exists too.
Whoop Whoop here says Ashes will become server crash. That massive PvP or world boss when 500 people or more are there. A bunch of laughy faces in this message, by the way. Look at Throne and Liberty. They have server crashes about open world boss XD. So I guess this might be a trolling message or something. So I think you're right. I think Ashes of Creation will have a couple of server crashes. I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's why they're testing the network. And hell, they had a lot of crashes this weekend. But yeah, let's talk about Throne and Liberty. So it's kind of funny. I find it very funny. Throne and Liberty has showed the best performance. Thank you for the follow, Ogre. Throne and Liberty showed the best performance that we've seen in recent, or rather modern MMO history, and
Yes.
had a smooth launch with so many players on the screen working flawlessly. Amazing. But they thank you for the follow, Adwood. They recently tested a world boss that comes around like once every, I forgot if it's once every month, once every week, but it's not frequent. And
Talking about the
so
flying
all
one,
the player,
or
it's like some worm or something.
okay.
It's a new event. So they finally implemented this event, and of course the whole server comes to this giant worm event, and it crashes. They can't handle it. Literally the whole player population had to come to this worm, and then their servers could not handle it. And so now people like yourself are trying to mock Throne and Liberty, saying, they couldn't handle this, but they've been handling everything so far. And they finally crash when the whole server comes to one point and they're like, hey, we're going to take this down, reevaluate, and get this back online. And now that's what players want to make a joke about. I think that's pretty disingenuous and not looking at the bigger picture. I think taking one event that they just had and laughing or saying, their servers crashed when all these people got in an area, I don't think that's what we should focus on. I don't think that's the right mindset to have. No offense. I don't think that's the right mindset to have. I think you should applaud what they were able to do and how many people they got on screen. They may have crashed when like 1,000+ players got there, but should we at least not acknowledge that in UE4, these devs for the first time in a while got like what I mean, what they've been smooth with, what, 200 people on screen, 300 people on screen? I don't know, but I've seen some large scale Throne and Liberty not crashing. So I don't think we should really go too hard at Throne and Liberty. And I uninstalled Throne and Liberty. If you think I'm a fanboy, by the way, it's already off my PC, so I'm not shilling for Throne and Liberty.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show you, like, take things with context and try to look at what they were able to accomplish. And hell, they might fix that event by next week. I don't know, but maybe. But one thing I won't like laugh at is Throne and Liberty server performance. Not by far, especially after
Uh,
playing ESO, right?
I loaded in first day, and same thing you did on Throne and Liberty, and like I loaded into 300 people, and I had a slight stutter, and then everything went normal, and I was like, guys, if there's 20 people around me at ESO, I'm running on my horse, I'm running fucking upside down, like my weapon goes missing, like all this shit's happening, it's functioning terribly, and there's so many MMOs that suffer from that sort of thing, and yeah, I don't. It all depends on what the developers do. Like we've talked about this, games, MMOs don't really die. Like they'll develop a small fan base, and if they make playable content, people will come and play it. And so the thing is Throne and Liberty was able to audition a game that works, that functions at a high level for large scale PvP. And people that like that are willing to do pay to win are going to play that. And there's already people in Korea playing it. There's people that I have a few friends that really enjoy Throne and Liberty. They enjoy it for those reasons. They like that it works. Sometimes the benchmark is just low. It just works, and that's what you're competing with right now.
I like how you snuck that in there. Like you was naming all these things. Like, hey, if you're willing to deal with pay to win,
Yeah,
like you just
I'm not. I'm personally not, but some people are, and so
Yeah.
I'm not judging. But yeah,
They're doing all this amazing things, and if you're willing to deal with pay to win, I guess they're doing
yeah,
this and it.
yeah. I don't think it's a perfect game by any means. The pay to win is a big deterrent for me.
Yeah. Alter said, oh wait, click the preview says there needs to be a speed potion that you can feed your mount to increase their speed for 10 minutes or something. Click to preview. I think that's a good comment, but I'm going to disagree with you. I think that would take away from what they're going for. So the reason your mount, or you may feel your horse is slow, because it's meant to be slow. It's a bare bones bottom of the barrel mount that has 130% mount speed or movement speed, I think what it is. Now, mounts will get better with the animal husbandry system. The wolf mount that you get is going to be a little faster. This unicorn Kieran mount is going to be a little bit faster. And now you have a reason to contact that animal husbandress. Now you have a reason to go and level up your mount. Now you have the reason to go see who can breed the best mounts, what stats you're going to roll for your mount, go hunt and tame a different mount, buy that mount off the trader, whatever the case may be. So that's the reason your horse may feel a little slow. It's so
Yep.
that the mounts that you acquire later feel a little faster. So do keep that in mind. That I don't think they need that. I think you just need to get a better mount. Is what it's going to be. Alter Ego here says, but the mob's aggressiveness and the respawn amount points being but low makes it hard to move around. I can't remember how many times I got killed by a wolf that was miles away from me.
Oh
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, might be some server performance issues there for sure. No way it should be daily chores to go talk to an NPC. No way to speed it up. Doesn't that sound like fun and engaging content? Sorry, I missed the context there. Um, Artemis says looked fantastic. Honestly, nice. Yeah, I and just a like quick tangent. I think visually, a lot of people. You know what's weird, chat? A lot of people weren't complaining about the combat when they were watching. I mean, of course, it came up, right? Some people, it's not their cup of tea, or it looks like it's not their cup of tea. The biggest comment that I got from Alpha 2 Weekend while streaming was the visuals. This doesn't look like a UE5 game. This looks like crap. Where is the identity? What's with this art style? Surprisingly, that was the most complained about thing. It wasn't like, oh, I was expecting the worst. I was expecting like, where's the rest of the map? Like, oh, this is all they got done. I barely got any of that. Most of the feedback, like if Steven was to ask me, like, hey, what is the community saying? A lot of it was on the visual side. And it wasn't like what we were complaining about when we saw showcases, you guys. It wasn't like, oh, the spells are too bright, oh, the shadows, oh, the lighting, because that stuff looked fine, or it wasn't too much of a thing. People were just talking about like the character models and just, I guess, just the graphics, which
Yeah.
is it was just interesting to me.
It felt a little blurry to me. Like the resolution was just a little low relative to other games that I've ran in like 1080p and other higher different. Like it just felt a little blurry at times. I wasn't sure if it was like I ran my computer in high settings and everything worked fine. Like everything worked fine. It was just like the and it's probably is polished, right? Like
Hmm.
some it's definitely polished. I heard more comments about how, you know, when you look at a picture of New World of Ashes, like there's nothing defining to make it Ashes, which I get that perspective too, but at the same time, like I don't know how you adjust that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
got a lot of I saw some quite a few comments on the visuals. But yeah, I mean, for the first weekend, knowing that there's just so much more down the pipeline, I thought it was a pretty good success.
Yeah. I uh I think it was good visually. I know that I did see some stuff about how to fix the resolution. Some people were talking about if you don't have DLSS, stuff like that looked blurry. I don't know if that was your thing, but I did see that a lot. For me, I do think the character models could use some like help. But then I saw some people's screenshots where their character model looks like amazing. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's just my PC or
Yeah.
everybody else's PC, except for this guy's. Maybe if you got top of the line, the character models look good. I don't know. But I thought the world looked fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm still a sucker for New World's environment. New World's environment it looks really good to me. I'll die on that hill. And I'm not saying one is better than the other because they're very different styles. But I like Ash's environment. I
Yep.
thought the world looked fine. I would say maybe I'd like to see a little bit more from the character models, I guess. But um,
It's a small
uh,
thing for the first test. Yeah.
yeah, I did have this feedback during stream because it was like I said, it was brought up a lot, like I mean a lot. And my take was this: I think it is true that Ashes needs its own thing to stand out. It needs its own artistic style. And what my comparison that I used was when I look at a screenshot of someone's character from WoW, I'm like, oh, that's your WoW character. That looks cool. I look at
Yep.
you send me a picture of your character from New World. I know that's New World. You send me one from Guild Wars 2. I could probably guess it's Guild Wars 2.
Yep.
Would you recognize an Ashes of Creation screenshot and character model right now? You know?
Yeah.
does it have that much of an identity? Or maybe even the world, if you take a picture of the world. I think you need to be able to like see a screenshot of an Ashes of Creation character and know it came from there. You need to show me just like, stand on top of a mountain and look down across Vera and know that that's a picture of Vera. Like, oh, that's Ashes of Creation. And it needs to somehow obtain that. I said, I'm no art expert. I don't know what you do. I don't know if they need to tweak saturation, if they need to just make things visually look different. But yeah,
Yeah,
something definitely needs something.
I definitely get the perspective. I see what they're talking about. At the same time, like I think that might come with time, if that makes sense. Like it's not cartoonish, so it's not going to have that animation style. But I think the more you play Ashes, I think the more you'd recognize it, right? Like I'm trying
Yeah.
to. Okay, guys, this is going to be the most hick analogy I will ever give you, but I promise you it's a thing. Okay, so like hear me out here. When I was a kid, I used to spend entire summers up at my grandparents' house. Okay. And my grandpa had anywhere at any point in time from 225 head of cattle to 300. And every single night, we would go out into the field and we would count the cows. We would count every single one because some cows were pregnant. They would go off into the woods. They would give birth. If they were giving birth, they could be attacked by bears. They could be attacked by wolves. Like things weren't so good. So you had to keep an eye on them, right? Well, the first couple times I went out there, like I didn't know anything. I was like, okay, well, we 270 cows. I'm counting them, like whatever. I count 274, and then he looks and he's like, oh yeah, this one's gone, and he knew right away out of 270 cows which one was gone because he's seen them every single day. He knows exactly which one is which. And it was crazy to me. I'm like, okay, how do you do that? By the end of the summer, I was doing the exact same thing. Like I had just seen these friggin' cows so much. I knew which one wasn't there, so I knew which one was standing out. And so my point with this goofy ass analogy that's going to stick in your head is the more you pay attention and the more you're playing Ashes, like if all of a sudden you go through different screens of different gameplay, you're just going to know, like, this is Ashes of Creation. This is Ashes of
Yes.
Creation. I've seen it so many times. I know what it is. I think some of that might just come with time.
I think some of it will. Some of it. I think some of it is. I think that is the case for some of it. I do think
Yeah,
some of it is a
some.
time thing for sure. Um, that someone said something about the tank. Yeah, I wish the tank had a better starting off heal. But I think it's just a coding or a bug issue why it's not the same. I'm not gonna get into that rant. Yeah, I know I ran about that shake it off heal on the tank archetype, but yeah. We went to the Linif server. Um, just catching up here in chat. Sorry, I know I'm really behind. We got a lot of you here. Man, you at 99%. Your neighbors finished their vassal kind of event. Else was talking about this earlier. How you doing, Carter? Welcome on in. Else was talking about this earlier, but like right now, there's not a lot of conflict. The mayors are just working together because it's just the best thing to do to get the most like crafting stations on the server or be optimal about it. Once we get more land, once we get the vassal system, and once there's things in place to cause that strife, then the node system will be a little bit more chaotic. Then we'll have like
Yeah.
drama between nodes, node wars that mean something and stuff like that. So yeah. They had really good UI in Alpha 1. Why do you think they completely changed it? You think it looks worse? It's pretty customizable. I didn't play Alpha 1, but just from what I looked at, I wouldn't say it's gotten worse, but of course that's subjective, right? But hopefully it continues to keep getting better and hopefully they continue to add more customization options. JR says, I saw some clip about a guy who sold 100,000 Lucent. That's on Throne of Liberty for y'all that don't know the pay to win marketplace currency. Wondering if someone actually paid $2,500 for a sword in Throne of Liberty. Yeah, we had
That'll
somebody in our
happen.
community like get a $100 drop from a sword and they put it on the marketplace and obviously got the Lucent for it. And I'm like, wow, it's not even like I didn't instantly think like, wow, you have a lot of that currency. You can go buy this, you can go buy cosmetics, you can, upgrade your character. What literally came, and it's sad that I looked at it this way, chat. So forgive me, but this is just a pay to win MMO. I looked at that sword when she sold it. Shout out to Anna. I looked when she sold that sword and she sent it to me. I was like, wow, that's $80 you got right there. that's that's how I looked at it. That's how I quantified it. Like I didn't look at it like, oh, you got X amount of currency, you got this. I looked at it
Yeah.
literally as you have $80 right there. If you want to go sell that on some website, or if you want to go do that's $80. That's an $80 sword. I didn't look at it like, oh, you got a legendary sword. It was like you have an $80 sword. And I just feel like MMOs should not put me in that mindset.
Going back to art design, Galwood made a great point, and he said part of it is because it's unfamiliar. One day people will see a Pyre node and it'll be super recognizable as ashes, and that's a great point as well.
Mm,
Like there's so many things that aren't online. We don't have the dwarves on, we don't have Tulnar on, we don't have all these art styles for different nodes, and I do think that a lot of them will stand out. I do think that they will,
true.
and so yeah, a lot of that is. I think some of it is that for sure. Also, I can agree with that.
That's very true. Yeah,
Nakua,
there's so
Nakua,
much
yes.
missing.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the Nakua running around. Dude,
Yeah,
it's gonna be
nobody
so sexy in all the races in the
that
game.
is there any other MMO that has like a Nakua style
Like
race?
Caribbean dwarves? I don't think
Yeah,
so. It's
it's
very
like
different. The
that's
Dunir are
gonna
basic
stand out.
dwarves, right? They're
Yeah.
so basic. They're your cliche, maybe mountain dwelling dwarves that craft stuff. Like it's just a typical D&D dwarf, right? The Nakua are definitely a very interesting spin. Very definitely an interesting spin on the dwarf. I think it's really cool. Matter of fact, I think if I was to, I don't like the idea of being like some small character.
Can't
But
do
if I
it.
was to ever roll one, I would definitely do a Nakua. But I just don't see me doing it, chat. Everything must be done in a group. How will people who play the game later at the release be able to level when everything's done? So the way that's done is just simply how the node system work. Everything's not going to be high level. There's always going to be people rolling new characters. There's with a subscription based model, I think you'll constantly have an easy barrier of entry for people that's coming into the game. So there will always be, hopefully, right, in theory, assuming the game's successful, constantly new players like coming in the game. So do keep that in mind. I think there will always be a way to level lobbies. They talked about a long time ago. I don't know if this has been thrown out since, but like having actually, I'm pretty sure he debunked this recently, but they talked about like having a way to reward you for helping out lower level players. Maybe they won't do that, but you just join a guild and now you got someone that will help you. You ask in zone chat, there will be people that help you. You're going to become you're going to hit level 10. Maybe you don't even find a friend until level 10, but guess what? Now you're part of a node. Now those people are motivated to help you level up and get gear because they know that
Yep.
your XP, your contributions help their node succeed. So I think low level players will have their place in Vera. I think you'll be fine.
I I also going off of like a new experience for live release. I think there's a few things that they can do to throw off the entire community that's been playing for a few years. Like you can change the loot tables, like just flip flop them, and like if you're getting a specific sword or a specific armor type or whatever from a specific dungeon, you can just change it and just go,
True.
yeah, this what you've been getting for 3 years here doesn't exist here anymore. Good luck with all of your guides. Like you're gonna get about 100 angry messages now from a bunch of people expecting this to work. You could,
Yeah.
I think you could do a lot of stuff like with loot tables. I think you can adjust some economy things. So if you're getting, ore in one area, you can change it to another node. You can literally just flip everything, and now all of a sudden, like everybody that's been gaming the economy, it's kind of thrown out of whack. Like, okay, well, I don't know where to go now. I don't know exactly where I have to be, and I think those sorts of things, like they can do some of that stuff. Obviously, not all of it, but I kind of, I mean, with how Intrepid kind of talks, part of me just expects that to happen, right? Like, yeah, we're going to throw a 180 on the live launch. We don't want this game. They've talked about how they don't want the game to be solved, and I think those are things that they could do.
Yes. Really quick here because chat is literally running off my screen. Demmer says, I was just on PTR. It was crisp and beautiful. During A2, your resolution snapped to something smaller than your native resolution. Fix that, relaunch, and you'll get great world quality. There's a lot of like little tips and tricks like that I saw in Reddit posts and stuff with resolution and picture quality that the devs aren't really telling you, but like players found some good fixes. Some Cold Steel here says it's easy to fix visuals but tough to fix core tech like combat or server meshing. Yeah, a server mesh, I mean, they're still in the progress of that. I wouldn't write that one off, but you're right, it's tough to fix those core systems of an MMO, so it's good that they got that right now. The combat, I think, is in a good place and will only get better. Server stuff right now, they need to go ahead and get that solved right now so you don't run into it later. We saw that with the Elder Scrolls Online. You try to fix it later, it's just not possible because it's so deep in the code, you'd have to like redo everything. So you're
Yeah,
definitely right about that. Like some stuff you got to get right off the jump. And so I know it can be frustrating waiting for this game. It's got a long development cycle. It will continue to have a long development cycle. We're still very far away. But one thing you will take away is that, hey, at least they're not rushing it, and we're not getting one of these AAA games that's like, you pay for it and it's like, wow, this is what we were waiting for. So there is there is that aspect. There's a good and a bad to waiting on a game or a game taking its time. It's like, yeah, when you finally get that, that product, it's great, but how long did you have to wait? So there needs to be a like you're hoping that they meet in the middle ground where they take a while and they take their time to give us a good product, but they're not taking 10 more years to get us a good product, right? There's a
Yeah.
limit. Viral, no way you use that emote. That was perfect.
Yeah,
Visuals are
we
going to get cleaned up by beta probably when they hone in optimization for 2029. Facts.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot in the Discord as well. Like, hey, how far out is this game? And it's just, I don't think I think once they start releasing content, we'll have a good idea. I know you and I have talked about this a lot, and you're just like, God, dude, shut up. I've already heard you say this a million times, but like right now, it kind of feels like you're shooting at a moving target from a high speed train. There's just too many variables to know like exactly when it's going to be. Some people are like, hey, it's going to be 5 years from now, 6 years from now. It's like, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it's going to be like 3 to 4 years from now. Yeah, I could see that too. I just don't know. Like anywhere from 3 to 9 years, like it's absolutely possible that this could happen. Maybe later. It could be later too. We don't know. Yeah,
what if
like
somebody asked that? He was like, "Oh, just give about 3 to 9 years."
yeah,
Like,
3 to 9. Oh my
like
God,
the
if
cable
he's
guys.
oh
It's like
my
with the
God,
cable
that'd be
guys.
the
Like,
ultimate troll.
we'll be. It's like when the cable guys like, "Oh, we'll be at your house somewhere between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m." Like, I'm just supposed to.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the time frame.
And then they don't
Appreciate it.
show up, and then they don't show up, and they don't call you. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, good stuff.
Eric says, "Bro, should I spend 120 on ashes?" I answer this question so much. I can't tell you that answer. I did a video of should you buy. Watch that video and they'll tell you if you should buy or not. I don't want to pressure anybody. I don't feel like no one should fall victim to FOMO. Am I having
Yes.
fun? Yes. Do I think it's a good game? Yes. But do I think it has a long way to go? Yes. Do I think it's expensive as hell? Yes. Um, it's a decision you got to make. And you don't even have to watch the whole video. If you want, you could just watch the last chapter where I directly answer that question. But I do have that video on my channel if you want my whole take on it. But I can't make that decision for you. I suggest doing some research, watching some videos like the one like mine I just talked about, shameless plug, of course, but and really make that decision. I think it's a good time, is all I can say. I think it's a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. To echo the same sentiment, I don't want to convince anybody. I don't want anybody to feel like they got robbed out of their money or anything like that. I don't know. I don't know anybody's financial situation. I'm not going to sit here and say you should absolutely get this. What I will say is it's no NDA. The live streams are up. You can go watch anybody live stream this at any point in time. And the minute you start watching it and you're like, okay, this is fun, I want to get this, that's when you should get it. Not before. Should you get this? You should look at live streams and you should look at how it's playing and then decide, yes, that's when I want to do it. And if you never get there, then just wait. And it's okay. Like you're not missing out on anything because you don't feel that urge. So
yeah. I told so many people that this weekend, or so many people told me like, "Oh, this looks good, but I'm gonna wait a little bit longer." I'm like, "Yes, there you go. That's completely justified."
yeah.
And then we had the opposite people like, referral link in the description. But no, on a serious note, like a lot of people like saw the gameplay and it's like, "Oh, this looks so cool," and they got their keys. Oh, by the way, I guess that's something we should bring up. Your last chance to buy keys is November 1st. So if you are going to want to get into phase 1 specifically, you have until November 1st, or you'll be looking at the phase 2 or phase 3 key. If you decide that you do want to buy, do understand that there's 2 days. But try not to pressure yourself with that information, but I just want to give you guys a heads up.
Yeah. Phase one is the November 8th release. The next one will be December 20th. But yeah, if you want to get phase 1, 2 days from now. But
saying here says if you don't have any use for the 120, then go ahead. Dimmer says only if you want to support the project, treat it as a donation with the perk of being able to test it in its true alpha form rather than like a pre-purchase for early access. Well said. You have the chance, and I said this in my video, I'll just echo the same thing, but you have the chance here to make your feedback heard by developers that actually listened. Like right now on the PTR, like you should see it. It's a visual NDA, so I can't show you, but I can tell you, like the developers, the community managers, they're pinging like, "Hey, everybody go to this area. How does this feel? Are you getting these drops? Come over here." They're boosting people to level 10 so that they can do content in certain area and test it out. And like, "Hey, how does this feel?" Like, "Oh, did you crash? Send a bug report here." They're like, this is not no corporate BS. They're doing stuff with this information. You genuinely feel they're doing stuff with this feedback, and I have not seen that in a game. I have not seen that.
No, no,
Eric, thank you for the $5 dono.
yeah, like
Appreciate that.
everybody conducts business in a different way, and so from the outside looking in, to me, it just looks like the developers for this game are very passionate at what they do. They're very excited about what they do. We get developers in chat from time to time. I never saw that before in another game. Didn't have developers stopping by in other games to talk, to get feedback, to kind of gauge the pulse of the community. I don't know. I just think I think it's kind of a special team in that regard.
Yes.
Um,
Intrepid special, bro.
yeah,
The official Ashes of Creation Twitch account stopped in my chat, I think on 2 different occasions, like hours apart. Like they were actually going around looking at feedback. Like who does that? Like like that is just so cool. Like I don't know. These devs, they definitely have my support. Doesn't mean we can't be critical of them, right? Definitely want to provide your feedback. Like, hey, what the hell are you doing here, or what's this about? But like, you have to admire that they're listening to feedback. You have to admire that they're trying. You gotta, if anything, you can critique whatever you want, chat. You can
yeah.
critique whatever you want. One thing I will tell you about Intrepid Studios is, well, a couple of things I'll tell you about Intrepid Studios is they'll listen to feedback, and they are more in tune with their community just from a community standpoint and communication standpoint, I guess, to another extent, with what's going on more than fully released products. Like they're in the chats, they're in the comment sections, they're in Discord, they're listening to that feedback, they're watching the videos. And I think that says a lot. Like, oh, like, dude, how many videos, how many ESO videos do you think you made? Like, and you did sophisticated
700.
commentary on.
Oh,
Yeah,
sophisticated
there you
com.
go.
Okay. I did 700 ESO videos or 600 and something. It was somewhere around there. And I did it for 7 years. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot
Yeah.
of fun doing it. I don't regret anything. I loved the game. I would still love the game if it worked. But yeah, that development team just approached things a little bit differently. And you know, it was very rare that I saw feedback even on their biggest streamers. Like it was very rare that like they would even recommend some of their biggest ones during their live streams until they like left the game and then they came back after gaining a lot of notoriety on other games. And so it's just it's just one of those things where it's like you can just without drawing comparisons, you can just tell that this development team is passionate about what they're doing. They're really trying to make a good game. You see it in the progress. And guys, like you don't have to listen to me bullshit you here. Like you just have to give this time, okay? Like listen to these words right now and then watch a couple live streams this weekend. And then maybe watch a couple live streams next weekend and watch a couple live streams a weekend after. I promise you it's just going to get incrementally better. And you're just going to see it and you're going to be like, damn, he wasn't lying about this. He's actually telling the truth. So
yeah, like point being, like you made a lot of videos, I made a lot of videos, detailed commentary, like, hey, here's how you here, and we're not the freaking authorities. We don't know everything. We're
No.
not game developers, but there's some common sense stuff that the whole, not just us, but the whole player base has the same sentiment. Like, hey, you guys should really look into doing this, or why is this broken, or what? And none of the feedback, you feel like it never even got to their desk. So it's a different feeling. Let me get through a lot of these chat messages because it's literally, I'm like, I don't know how long behind. It's about to go off my this memory on my screen. Thank you for the follow, Crozen. Linux best server, yes indeed. Hockey says, do you think they are hiding content? Because honestly, for development from 2016, this is not enough content from what they were showing. We did not even experience the seasons yet. They shown it work. So I don't think they're hiding a crap ton of stuff. And I think they came out recently in one of the Q&As saying that a lot of those showcases were just for feedback. Like a lot of those were beefed up instances for purposes of feedback. I don't think they're hiding a ton of stuff. I think they have progress on some systems more than what's ready and what's shown, like the weather system to what you spoke about, but they're not probably implementing that yet because, well, right now they need to like test performance and maybe that'll be an extra thing on performance. And so what they're doing right now is isolating variables. If you look on your map, there is like a little thing for what season you're in, time of day and whatnot. So maybe it's in and we just haven't gotten to that season. I don't want to cope and say that's the case. I'm just going to assume like you that it's not in the game, right? Thank you for the follow, Dirto. So I don't think there's much that they're hiding. That doesn't mean that it's working on, that it's not being worked on, that it's not progress. It's just not in the show state, or it's not in a ready state, or it's probably just not their focus for this phase. There's a lot of stuff coming in phase two that I would imagine is probably they could add it this weekend if they wanted to, but with this being purely focusing on networking and getting some things fixed, I think they're like, all right, let's get this out the way. Let's make sure our queue works. Let's make sure this works. And then we'll move properly into that phase two and introduce this, introduce your freeholds that you saw streams on, stuff like that. So, in terms of biomes and landmass, can I be completely honest with you? No. Like
Yeah.
I don't believe there's and no offense to the developers, I don't know anything. This is just me, I don't know if you want to do tinfoil hat, whatever. I don't believe an inch of that eastern continent is being worked on or has been worked on. You see what I'm saying? I don't believe maybe there's more of the desert on a different build that's worked on. Maybe there's more of the tropics because you see we got those little slices of it, and they're just working on the dungeons for the Sand Squall Desert stuff that's not on our current build. It's not show ready, right? I believe that. But do I believe that continent on the east side of the map is done? No. Do I believe bounty hunter system? No. I think they are actually already confirmed that's not. There's a lot of things that's not even. That's literally. What did Bill True say? Is like he said the treasure. Steven was like, tell us about the treasure map system, and Bill's like, bro, wait a minute, that's like in concept phase. Like, basically,
Yeah.
like, what's the point of talking about it? There's so many things that's so far out. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. To piggyback off that, like what I would say is whatever we have come December 20th is what they have done. So what they've had done the entire time. I think everything that we've seen from pre-alpha 2 testers, everything that they have said is they've slowly been onboarding things. They've slowly been making things more in detail. Like the first, if you go back and you watch Jamie Chaos's stream, he was like, yeah, I was in on the first test. He goes, we're in this small area and half of it was gray box. And we're like, what the fuck is this? And they were just
Yeah.
slowly onboarding the server and they were adding more and more things. And so my belief is, okay, well, if we have 2 more months of server stability, we have 2 more months of them onboarding the content that they have ready to go onto the server. And then once we get into phase 2, that's everything that they have. I don't think it's a ton. I don't think they're hiding a bunch of things. I think a lot of what we've seen already is what's there, but there's there's a little bit there. But yeah, I think that's what they have done, and I think the rest they're just going to be implementing and onboarding, through the next year plus.
Mm-hmm. Introduce it as it's needed. I think we got to keep reminding ourselves this is the networking phase. So
Yeah.
it's a hard balance. Like, just because you don't see it, don't mean it's not ready. But at the same time, don't assume there's a crap ton done. I would look at, okay, here's I think it's the safe thing to do. The stuff that you see in phase 2, like that's coming in December, believe that that's done, or maybe 80% done, most of it. For the launch of Alpha 2's phase 2. Assume that some of that's done, but it's just not in there right now because they're prioritizing networking, or it just still needs those final touches. Stuff that's in phase 3, Summoner and whatever other systems was in phase 3, don't sit there like and cope like, oh yeah, it's done. It's just they're just busy with other things. Nah, bro. Like, just temper expectations.
Yeah.
JCP says, will I break terms if I sell my Braver of Worlds account? You didn't just say that in chat. Not at all. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Dimmer says they need to hire a professional writer for those NPCs, and also please remove the cursed AI voiceovers. So here's it's funny
I think
that you
they're
say
so
that.
good.
I think they're
They make
so
me
bad.
laugh.
Like, when I
Crack me up.
first, and entertaining wise, I guess they're funny. But when I first saw them, like, you can find a Discord chat message. I was like, yeah, it's better to have AI voiceovers than nothing, because I like,
Yeah.
I think ESO spoiled me. But now that after hearing them, I'm like, yeah, I'd rather just read the text, bro. Like, that I think the AI voice acting is so bad that I'd rather them just not have any voice acting at all until they get it polished. So that's just my opinion. It's funny, but it's like ill. It just makes the game look worse, or it just makes it seem worse in my opinion. And so it's not every NPC, but some of them, it's just like yuck. They need to hire a
So
professional writer for those NPCs, and also yeah, and I it should be so easy to get voice. There's some people that will probably voice act for free just to say they're in this game, or just to put on. They can get interns, voice acting interns that can just credit Intrepid Studios on their resume. People will do it. I feel like it. I feel like people would do it.
I
Um,
My funniest experience. I said this on a live stream. I don't know if I've told you this one yet, Nice, but pre-alpha 2, we were testing, and like I was going around collecting the quests and doing all, doing the noob stuff. And I went to the commission board and I was listening to all these characters. And I don't know if it's still going to be the case, because like we just lag our asses off in there right now, so I can't confirm if it's still the case. But the commission AI voice was a Southern guy, and he's like, "Oh, come on over here, man. Why don't you come over?" And it caught, like, I fucking lost it, man. Like, I lost, because everything else sounded kind of similar, and this one's like,
Yeah.
"Why don't you come over here for your commissions?" And I'm like, "Holy shit, what was that?" Like, it was like a jump scare almost. And yeah, then it got me giggling. So now, ever since I've heard the AI, I'm like, I can't wait for the next one. You got to get like somebody from Western Kentucky or Louisiana, just a long drawl, and just like really throw people off guard.
Mm. I think they should just take them offline and then just bring them back once they're actually polished. It's so distracting to me, but it's kind of funny. And but the thing is, like I said, it's not consistently bad. It's just sometimes it's like, yuck. I don't know.
How,
Carter here said, "Do you think that once nodes are leveled up, will the game become stagnant? I feel like a huge amount of player impact will fall off hard." I don't think so. I think quite the opposite. I think once those metropoli, or whatever the plural is, are solidified, that's when you see the most action. That's when, like, when we got enough nodes on the game to where you need to be competitive, to where people are getting vassalized and everything like that. I think that's when you will start see players really want to see the world change. I think that's when you start really getting that sandbox element. I think that's when you start realizing your server is different from others. I've said this before, but like, someone's going to see a cool dungeon or a cool boss that another server was able to achieve, that they will never achieve, because the node that needs to get to level 5 on their server is only level 2, and their server had to get a node to level 5. So now you're like, well, this node needs to go so that this one can go to level 5. And so people will want that change, they'll want that content, especially if, like, I won't say best in slot, but certain content or weapons is hidden behind that node's progress. And I think players just naturally, in a social environment with all this politics and strife involved, will want to see the world change, or it'll just happen just because people don't like each other, right? So I
yeah,
think I don't have I have a feeling you can see these alpha 2 realms become stagnant, maybe, in terms of nodes, because I mean,
maybe. Yeah,
you can't
the
even see,
nodes for sure.
right now. You
The
can't even
nodes for
siege right
sure. Yeah,
now.
yeah,
So but once we have more nodes, once we have sieges and stuff like that, it'll be fine. Crash says power leveling a lower player is already pretty fast. Yeah, I think new players. People always want to help out new players. People always have friends coming to the game, and I think we'll be fine there. Strangeness says, with regards to the ranged fighter, based on what we've seen, it may be possible that you can't go ranged from the jump, and will probably need a secondary of ranger. I don't know what that means. Can't you just have a ranged weapon? Um, I really hope they implement a good quest system. Yeah, that the questing is just not rewarding, right? It is just
yeah.
so pointless. It's so bad. I gave this feedback in my "Should You Buy" video before Alpha 2 even launched. Like, and now I'm seeing people echoing that sentiment. I see Narc echoing the same sentiment in a video that he posted today, where it's like, grinding should be efficient. Hell, it should be more efficient than questing. But the time to benefit ratio of questing versus grinding mobs is just so horrible. It,
Yeah.
like, it's such a distinction between the two that it's just not even compelling. And this is, I'm not even going to get into how the quests are lackluster, or they lack some depth or some oomph or some lore to them. It's just the XP or the reward from doing these commissions, from doing these quests. There's just like nothing. It's just, it's too far from what mob grinding is. Like, I
Yeah.
remember one being a good 30 hour a good 30-minute quest chain, and it gave me like not worthwhile XP. I was like, wow, that was just literally 5 goblins I could have killed right there, but
Yep.
thank you, I guess. So
Yeah,
uh,
we've been talking about this in the Discord, and I've been thinking about this on a video too, like a good leveling experience. And we have extremes, right? You have your Lineage 2, you have your Arcade, you have this game, this alpha currently, where it's just grind, 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 and like you melt your fingers off and you try to get arthritis. That's the entire point. You get arthritis, you get carpal tunnel, and then you stop playing video games. And then you have other games like Throne and Liberty, where you only do the quest line. Like,
yeah.
you want to go grind mobs, you get one experience. Haha,
Hmm.
dummy, go do the quest. And it's what I don't understand, and maybe I'm crazy for this, but you should be able to get some experience for doing the quests. It doesn't have to be the best, but you should get a good amount. You should get good experience for grinding, and you should get good experience for investing in whatever trade or whatever thing you want to do. Like if you want to go and you want to go chop down trees and refine them, you should get a good experience for engaging in the world and leveling up the way that you want to level, in my opinion. Like why I don't understand why some games want to gatekeep content until you get to end game. It's so fucking stupid to me. It just drives me nuts. It's like, yeah, I want to play this game. I want to hop into PvP, but first I got to do all this other bullshit for the next 500 hours. It's like, well, why don't you give us experience for PvP? I know it's a crazy idea, but it just might work. Like this thing just might be successful. And that's what just, I don't know. It just bugs me sometimes with some games. It's like, guys, like you make all these systems. Why don't you reward us for interacting with your systems? It doesn't make any sense.
Bad. It's so bad. Why does it have to be such an extreme? Why can't when is a developer, and I'm not saying it's too late for Ashes of Creation to do this, but when is a developer gonna find that middle ground or close to the middle to where there's mob grinding, but you also reward players for exploring the world. You also reward players for doing quest lines and stuff like that. That was the perfect comparison you just made. Throne of Liberty is like if you don't do the main story quests to level up, you just can't sit in a field killing wolves till max level.
Yeah.
You got to do that main story quest line if you want to be efficient. But it's good because it's rewarding you for seeing the story, the narrative that they worked hard on. And then right now you have now obviously we're comparing a fully released game to somebody that just had their network test, right? Let's go ahead and preface that.
Yes.
But
yes, absolutely.
Then you have Ashes of Creation on the opposite end of the spectrum where it's like, yeah, forget about these commissions we spent a lot of hard work doing. Forget about the little bit of quests that we spent a long time doing. Just go in this cave and kill these goblins. That's going to be what you're going to remember, And I think we need to find a way to meet in the middle. So Basir here says, thank you for the bits, Blanc site. Appreciate that. I won't forget about you. So Basir says, I'm buying in. F it. I bought Pantheon. Might as well throw some coin into something that actually is going to produce. Oh, no.
We need to talk to you about your spending habits, sir. Like that.
Right.
That's like, we need to talk to you and have you put the credit card down. No, I'm just kidding.
Block says, too late. I fell victim, LOL. I just wanted to support them. When will I be able to download the launcher? You should be able to download the launcher now. Check your email, check your spam folder, and check the forums as well. You should be able to download it right now. Well, actually, no. If you're in the November 8th crowd, I wonder if you don't have the download link. I actually don't know that one.
I'm not sure on that one. I can ask in chat late. Well, it doesn't help you guys now. I'm gonna ping chat, and if I get a response, I can let you know. Guild chat.
Joshua says, if you could lock in a guaranteed 2030 feature complete release, would you take it? Feature complete? I'd take what I can get. If it says feature complete, if that's what we gotta wait for to get feature complete. There's some features I'm like, add it later, but fully released Ashes. I mean, some people already think it's gonna take 6 years, and it used to be a meme, but now it's like, maybe. I know anybody that's thinking it's 1 year, it looks insane to me now. I think I remember me saying one year or two at one time, and now I'm looking at it, especially after getting played the alpha 2. I'm like, yeah, nah, that's too optimistic even then. Waiting for another key giveaway. What up, CJ? He says, no offense, anyone that feels like they got ripped off their money certainly has not been following the game and listened to 1,000 times as Steven said, you will be buying into a test. Facts. Like, there's people that really don't know what they bought though, dude. We talked about this last stream, but there's people that don't like that was asking to how to turn PvP off during the test. I kid you not. Like during the NDA test, like it's crazy how people don't look at what they bought. There's some people that bought their key for November 8th and didn't realize that their access was November 8th. And so when they saw, but they didn't know people that bought before had October 25th access. There's a lot of lack of research that went into these huge purchases that is baffling to me. And I don't know if I'm just a safe buyer or if I'm just cheap, but I know when I spend that much money on something, I'm going to be an expert at it. That's just me. Juzo says, I kind of wish Bard had more single target abilities. I feel that. Day for your B-Day. The code should be on your account. It should be check your inbox.
Spets over here in Viral said November 8th should be later. Install. My buddy hasn't received anything yet. So
okay, that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I think a lot of people just have different amounts of spendable cash on things. Like I vividly remember a game I played in the past where there's a millionaire on the server. Like he owned his own mini mall construction company, and he like his net worth was a lot. And he's like, yeah, I spend $3,000 a month on this game. I don't give a shit. So he's
yeah.
dropping 36K a year on a video game because like he's like, yeah, this is my play money. I don't care. Like that, like I make a lot of money. I got to spend it on something. I'm gonna spend it on a video game. So yeah, I guess there's quite a few people out there like that. So
um, so Artemis here said, here, let me fix this on screen. Artemis here said, if they can nail the node system down, I think that alone will make it a standout game. I think that's the most standout feature or unique thing that Ashes of Creation has going for it. We see a lot of MMOs. Well, we see Ashes kind of taking a lot from previous MMOs, right? Taking a lot from previous MMOs, but the one thing I think it's pretty innovative on is that node system. I think that's what will let it stand out, honestly. So we do have that to look forward to, indeed.
I will say, this is something we've talked about. We've talked about guild expectations and everything, and I've talked to you guys on stream as well. And I've been like, yeah, I want to experience the world. I want to do this. I want to roam and try different things out. And that's what I did all the first weekend. And the amount of people that are sweating this game so fucking hard, I was like, dude, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, they're wiping the servers in December, and you're just
Yeah.
like I watched one guy. He's like, yeah, I got to level 20. I put in 40 hours this weekend. I'm like, my God, man, like holy cow. And it's kind of funny because it's like I'm not judging. Like people want to play the game, they want to compete, but that competition drives other competition, right? Like you're gonna have other guilds
Mhm.
like if they're gonna play this game like this, we're gonna play this game like this, and you're gonna see this sort of stuff happen. And I think that it is very bare bones. It is very rough around the edges. There's a lot of performance issues, but I think the community has enough to make it fun for a while, like as they introduce content. And I think they're going to keep that replayability as long as like Intrepid doesn't release content like a year from now. Like if they went like 6 months from now and they're like, yeah, we're finally releasing new stuff, you'd be like, yeah, you just lost all your players. Like everybody's
Mm.
bored now. But as
Yeah.
long as they're releasing stuff every 6 weeks, I think it'll be a steady dose of, refreshing stuff.
Yeah. Um, no test, no gain. So, Viajaro, excuse me, says, I would like many to understand that Intrepid is trying to ensure they have a good development foundation to have a strong path to improve Ashes properly in the coming years, but not everyone can have the patience for it. I would like to, but it is what it is. Not everyone can. And that's the thing we're going to run into a lot during this test, right? Is people with the wrong set of expectations, people not understanding, like, hey, this is just the first step. This is just a foundation. We're just like, we're trying to just test our networking,
Yeah.
It's going to be you're not going to be able to get that through to everybody. It's just not going to happen. You can only hope that a majority of players end up with that mindset, or even half. I think maybe half is the best that we can hope for. Um, I know content creators are a large part of that. Intrepid's a large part of that. Steven specifically, maybe a large part of that. Although I feel like most of all the above have done their part in trying to get that message, of course. But at the end of the day, consumers are consumers, marketing is marketing, players are players, and information, or rather, ignorance is aplenty. Ignorance is everywhere, and it's no fault to the players. Maybe they haven't researched. They don't realize this is not they don't realize this is a test. They just saw Throne and Liberty release, and then they like, oh well, why doesn't this work like Throne and Liberty? It's like, you're just not going to get that through to everybody. So yeah. So somebody said something here recently. Somebody said, I think the game's gonna flop. Who was that? I saw it just come up here. I can't find it in chat no more. It's not on my
Okay.
list, but I saw it come up on my screen, but I can't see the message here in my multi-stream chat. But someone just said that I think the game is gonna flop.
Skip Bayless has ruined an entire generation, man, of just like hot take after hot take. Like, why can't we wait? Why can't we wait and see? Why do we have to have like a take? Like, this is gonna be game of the year. This is gonna fucking flop. Like, why can't we just wait and see? Like, I don't understand.
Holy Jamie Chaos with the rate of 184.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Appreciate the raid, Jamie. Welcome on in, everybody. Welcome to the Voices of Vera. Thank you for the follow. Don't talk to him. How you doing, Z? How you doing, Freedom? Stellos. What up? What up? Everybody, welcome on in. It's funny. Trent, how you doing? Let's go. Just like his temperature. So I'm definitely not going to find that message now, but somebody said, Ash, yes. Why do you got to say Ashes of Creation is going to flop? Why must we have these extremes? Why can't we just say, hey, this was their networking test. I like the foundation. I like what I saw. You know, this is a good thing to build upon. I like the combat. I hope they add more content later, or I can't wait to see them fix the voice acting. Or why can't we give that kind of feedback? Why we gotta be like,
I blame it on Skip Bayless, man. It's Skip Bayless's fault. That's exactly what this is.
Thanks for the follow. Like, why can't we just let them cook? Why do we gotta jump to it's gonna flop? Like, don't get me wrong, it's okay to have criticism. You're not gonna catch me white knighting. You're not gonna catch me saying, oh, this is Intrepid could do no wrong. They've only done the right decisions. Andy says dead game. How you doing, Andy? Nice is paid off by Steven, obviously. But like,
waiting for the check to cash.
Just waiting. And hey, y'all can tell if Steven's check went through by what I say in my videos. I'm just throwing it out there now. But no, like, why do we gotta do that, bro? Like, why? It's okay to give criticism. You're not gonna catch me just pure white knighting. I can give positive feedback and like, oh, this was fun. I had fun. The game is good. I like this, but they need to work on this. You can give criticisms. Like, when people said, like I said earlier, the most common feedback I saw was the art style. I'm like, and what did I say? I was like, I think it looks good, but I get what you're saying. You want something a little bit more unique, or you're used to this, or I get it.
Yep.
Combat, I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying with combat. I like it. It's good to me, but I get it. There's certain things like I'm just like there's some critiques. I'm just like, you do understand this is an alpha. Somebody legitimately said Throne of Liberty is better, and I wanted to. I think I ignored it in chat because I knew I was going to turn into mean gaming. I think I just ignored it. I think that one I ignored because I was like, okay, that's bait. That's got to be bait. It's bait or stupidity.
Yeah, I haven't mentioned my critiques here. I'm waiting. I'm trying to compile 5 good ones, and I haven't played enough to compile 5 yet. It's not that they don't exist. It's just that they're not there. But I do have 2. My 2 critiques, and this is my personal opinion, so you guys can feel free to call me a hater. I don't like ranged back bar. I think it should be all weapons on the back bar. I think you should be able to choose, and for the very simple reason of it adds way more build diversity and variety. The idea of just having like a wand or just a bow on your secondary bar, not as huge of a fan. Like, I would much rather have the choice to run, like, I could still run them, but if I want to run like a sword and shield or something else, or I want to have that versatility personally. The other thing, I love that they did auto attacks and I love that they did light attacks. I want the system for like the greatsword to not just be light attacks. I want to be able to hold the greatsword down to where I can swing and it hits a little bit harder, because it is good. The option is good, but it's still a little too close, in my opinion, to auto attack. Like, the autonomy feels nice, but at the same time, like, especially at lower levels, when your skills are on like a 10-second cooldown and you're just light attacking to your heart's content, it looks really freaking repetitive, and the combat doesn't look as good as it does when you get to like level 7 or level 8 or level 9. And I think that change up would make it a lot better, in my opinion.
You know what? I love when we finally, because it's rare that you and I disagree. I disagree with most of what you just said as far as what you talked about with the range slot and the melee slot. I like it. I think it works fine and it's so good. However, what I do agree with you on is what you said about the basic attacks. Holding down that great sword for a charged heavy, and weaving it into a combo. I think that is a really good point of feedback. The only people that will get left out is those auto attack enjoyers. Who's the auto attack enjoyers in chat? Let yourself be known. Which of you are auto attack enjoyers? Go ahead. Don't be ashamed.
And I think there's some trade-off, right? Like, you get guaranteed pressure with the auto attack, and
Mm-hmm.
with the holding it down, you get a little bit more autonomy, and you get potentially a little bit more burst on your combinations. And so it's a choice that you make. I think that's a choice that you can do. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a developer can come in here and tell me I'm an idiot. But from that perspective, I think that would just make for an alpha, the combat is freaking fun. I'm having a lot of fun playing. I really am.
Yes.
But especially in the first levels, when a lot of things are on cooldown, like the light attack spam feels a little bad, in my opinion.
Yeah. The combat just feels so good, and I'm very early level, very early
Yeah.
level.
Yes.
I Cleric don't need to hit. So we have a lot of auto attack enjoyers in chat. We have a
Unbelievable.
lot of auto attack enjoyers in chat. I tried both. I ain't gonna lie. Towards Sunday before the DDoS attack happened, um, I uh I experimented with the auto attacks. I get it. I like it. For some reason with the action cam, I like being able to control it. Oh, I like being able to control it, like have more feel over my character. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just have more feel over my character. It just feels like it weaves better. My movement feels better. I don't
Yep.
know why. You see her? But yeah. Click fireball, click hold, big fireball. Yeah.
Will
Intrepid
PvP
here?
will PvP become a Zerg fest? Every MMO with objective PvP seems to land in the same state of losing equals add more players equals lag and game becomes unplayable. I don't know if I can release some of the stuff that I've seen today. They're really incentivizing people trying to spread out. Nice. I don't know if you saw that the drop rate on the amount of players in your group table that was posted today. I don't know if we can share that or not. Um,
Um
I can't
no,
remember,
I saw some of it.
but yeah,
We go ahead.
I'm not going to share it. I'm not going to share what it does. But the point is they're through different designs. It looks like they're really trying to get people to not group up tightly into really large groups and explore a bunch of content. They're going to incentivize you attempting to do it with less players, and I think
Hmm.
that's good design. And due to less fast travel, obviously there will be large scale PvP in this game. There already is large scale PvP. There already is. It will exist, but there will be more than that, in my opinion. I do think that they're doing a good job of incentivizing players to run in smaller groups and spread out.
Yes. As a tank, auto attack is a huge nerf. It disrupts your ability to rapidly switch to running to pick up mobs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What the, Thank you for the bits block. So the fighter, I think the fighter is really that skill tree
Fun.
looks so good. Else he rolled a fighter, and there's two skills I bring up that make the fighter a really fun melee. I've been well, as you see the background footage, I've been loving tank. That execute healing, because self-healing in this game is very rare. If you don't got a cleric around, how you doing, Deuce? If you don't have a cleric around, then yeah, you're probably gonna die. Or a couple of bard hots. So that one skill where you heal yourself based off damage you do or something for a couple of seconds, I think that's really good. But yeah, I think the fighter kit is really good. I think you got the most gap closers in the game right now. It feels good. Can we talk about the tank kit though? Can we? Where's my tank set? Can we talk about the tank? I like the tank. It feels like a true guardian. I'll probably have a weekend out. I'll probably have a video out this upcoming weekend. After I get more final thoughts on the tank. I may have footage here I can bring up for you guys, but I did hit level 10, and there's an iron aura passive that you get at level 10 as the tank. It's really an active skill that you got to activate, but you just activate it once because you're not going to turn it off, right? So I just call it a passive, and it
Sure.
increases mitigation. You get 10%. You and your allies within 10 meters get 10% more mitigation, and between that plus the what do you call it, the threshold that you hit at level 10, your character just gets stronger because all that gear you've been grinding. Because I'm sure most of us here were grinding in over leveled areas. I don't think a lot of us stayed in that goblin area. We went to those high level elites and just like farmed that way with a group of friends. Man, I finally was able to put my level 10 gear on my tank that I had. I went and bought a new shield from the town, and it felt like a whole nother class. So between getting gear and then getting that 10% mitigation, I felt so good. I looked at all my gear. I did a couple of pulls. I think you were there with me, right, Fiddy? I think you were there. And then I took a picture for my thumbnail. I was about to stream and I was editing my thumbnail. I looked up, I got kicked from the server from the DDoS attack. I was like, no. Once I realized that it was gonna be an all-day thing, I was like, dang it. I went so I hope to get some level 10 tanking footage for you guys, but it's starting to feel good. It's starting to feel like, yeah, you want a tanking group because that 10% mitigation is good. You got the
Yeah.
grappling hook. I just got that skill to where it's essentially like a parry. It's the reflex skill, and I had just got the second part, the I guess the morph of it, if you will, where if I reflect an attack, if I time it right, it trips them. So now I got a second trip in my kit. Like it really start to come together at level 10. However, I would like to do the opposite. So, like I said here, we try to be balanced. I freaking I'm loving this test. I'm loving this game. I don't care what y'all. I don't care. Judge me. I called it a game. Big Wolf. Want to fight about it? I'm loving this game. I really am. Already combat wise, like from what I've seen. And one thing I do have feedback wise, and I would like to know if you felt this way too. No one. My feedback was I didn't feel like a tank until level 5. Like I felt like
Yeah.
a horrible, bland, soulless archetype. And I think I saw this feedback from clerics as well. I could be wrong, but my tank didn't feel like a tank until level 5. Like, because at level 5, we finally got to use because we have the courage archetype ability. And that's just basically giving us we got mitigation, and the more courage you have, um basically you spend your courage for skills. But long story short, at level 5, you get this skill that you get 15% mitigation, I think it is, chat. Yeah, once you hit level 12. Level 12, I heard, is another benchmark. You're right. Um, at level 5, you get this grit skill and you get 15% mitigation, but you lose some outgoing damage. But the more courage you have, the less that damage penalty is. It only goes down to like I think 5%. Before that, there wasn't really much in my kit. You got one skill for threat. It didn't really feel right. So that's what I wanted from those
Sure.
earlier levels. Something to draw aggro. You don't get the tank pool early enough, you know. It just didn't feel like tank. I didn't have a way to use my archetype of resource, if you will. I think that's what really did it for me. There wasn't really an effective use of my archetype resource other than that knee pummel or whatever it was, that spent courage. But I didn't have more mitigation than any other character is what I'm getting at. There was no CC control or mitigation like until then. I wasn't a guardian, if you will. What about
Yeah.
you? Do fighters use that class resource early enough? What about you clerics in chat? Go ahead and start type that while no one's talking.
I will say with the fighter starts off pretty slow. Like I think probably every archetype does, but it starts off pretty slow because you start off with two skills, and literally like one of them is momentum, and so you never really get to use it because you got to activate other skills in order to gain momentum, and so that just it's there, but it's not actually there. So you got one skill on your bar,
Yeah.
and so I noticed early on, like when I was like a level 3 in this area, I felt like I was doing pretty good damage relative to some of the other class archetypes that were there, just because like I'm a damage dealing archetype, and like I was making an impact in ways that, you know, other support ones were also doing. And it was like, okay, I could see where this is going. And the difference for me was once I got to 5, I noticed a huge difference to where I actually had a few skills to fire. And then when I got to 7 and 8, way better than 5. Like
Mm.
adding 3 more skills, all of a sudden I have a full rotation and everything's just working, and like there's combinations, and like it felt really fun once I got to 8. And I was like, okay, this is really cool now. Now I have skills. And it uses a shit ton of mana. Like I find myself sitting a lot. Like I need like 3 bards to go by me and just sing songs to keep me stacked, I guess. But yeah, it's been really fun. It's been really fun to play. The combinations feel good. Impact feels really good. It all feels pretty nice so far. But it's early, super early.
Super early, yeah. Fireside Fuel Co says, I play tank. How do you feel about XP debt as a tank? Feels much more punishing on tanks than other roles. I don't see how that would be the case, but I guess since the tank is taking more of the aggro, maybe you're dying more, especially if you don't got like enough clerics or bards helping you stay alive. I guess I could get that, but I don't think I don't think it's more punishing on tanks than other roles. But I guess you could in your defense say that tanks take on more risk than other roles in the party. So I guess you could say it's more frequent. Yeah, I get that. I guess it could feel worse in that sense, but yeah. So I saw Viral say here in chat, and it's something that a lot of the community, and that's what this conversation is, guys. First off, thank you all for the follows. Really appreciate you all being here. Thank you for the continued support. It's so interesting doing this weekly live stream, the Voices of Vera live stream here. Now that we've actually played the game, the topics of conversation is we can talk about actual game that we played, reference experience, give proper feedback other than speculation based off what we see in those live streams, right? It's a huge difference. So I'm really liking it. Enjoy the Q simulator in the background so you guys can go ahead and get prepared for the upcoming weekend. But he said the cleric mechanic sucks. The cleric mechanic sucks. I've seen that feedback a lot. I've heard this feedback back during well, let me not, I'm sorry, I didn't hear nothing from NDA testing at all, but no, I've been hearing the cleric archetype mechanic sucks and feels bad so much. Yes, is it Friday yet? Like, so apparently you cleric mains in the chat kind of educate me on this, but the cleric archetype divine power, I think it's called, no, is it divine power, is it conviction? It's one of those two. I think it's conviction. And it just lets you cast your skills faster or mix your heals. It used to be conviction, they changed it to divine power. Is that why I'm remembering it that way? Okay, that's what it is then. Okay. Well, what do you guys think about the cleric's power? So he says, Viral says two options: use your resource for free heals, or insta cast a casting spell. Divine power, yeah, gives you extra mana, so you can cast something without using your mana. Interesting. One lets you use divine, so you can use that instead of your mana, and one lets you get an instant cast. See, on paper that doesn't sound bad, chat, but I get how it's not as I think what it is, it's a good idea on paper. Like it sounds good on paper, but it doesn't feel as influential or fun mechanics slash gameplay wise. Am I getting that right? Like when you're playing a ranger, being able to cast those marks and those hunts off global cooldown, maybe you feel good in that. The fighter, you're building up that momentum, and once you're at high momentum, you can use this skill, or this skill is more effective. You just feel like a juggernaut. You're just constantly ramping up, right? Um, I get that. And the tank, you're getting more and more powerful. The tank, you're getting more and more powerful. And to me, it's easy as that. It's as easy as that. Which one did I forget? Mage. Mages is a little interesting. I can't really speak on the mage. I haven't tested the mage. I haven't tested the mage, so I can't really speak on that one. So am I getting that right? Yeah, I love cleric. Combine it with judgment. Judgment has a 4-second cast. You have to test it. You can do instant resurrection. Oh, see, I didn't know you can use it. That makes sense because resurrection is a channeled spell. You can do an instant resurrection instead of an 8 seconds one, and you could use the skill that lets you still cast spells while you have no mana. I played it like a paladin, self-healing and just crushing mobs with the great sword. First 10 levels is like WoW, Paladin, and auto attack all day and use the same 2 spells. I saw some feedback also that the cleric needs a little bit more offensive tools in its kit. I think Intrepid's really lean into like how they call the tank archetype, as if it can't do nothing else. Like the cleric is supposed to be the healer archetype. They don't want it to have too much damage, maybe. Though they said it will be possible. Something with that feedback that you got to take into account is that we are, and I know this is going to be crazy, chat, but I might blow your mind here. There's something that we got to realize, like how I complain about the tank self-healing it's non-existent. I hate that shake it off heal. Something we got to take into account is it's only level 25 kit.
Yeah.
What if by the time we hit level 50, that tree, that vertical, that tree that we are scrolling through, it opens up significantly. Now everything that you're currently missing from your kit, boom, now it's just like, holy crap, there's so much more. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize cleric had this death spell. Oh my gosh, this cleric has this huge death AoE for DPS. I can be a DPS cleric paladin now. The tank has this big old health based heal. I love it. There's no telling what these developers have on the board.
What if you can combine your archetype with a secondary archetype to create an augment system that could create special abilities or unique things, like maybe give you a little bit more resource return or leeching or something like that to make your playstyle even more unique than that?
Ooh, that would be cool.
That's good
What if that was a
feedback.
thing?
That's good feedback, I think.
What if that was a thing, chat? Hmm. Stop trying to homogenize the game. It won't work. Was that in response to like a cleric doing a DPS or what? Or like a tank maybe DPSing? Because that's something that the devs themselves have said is possible. That's something that the devs say, hey, like, you know, yes, the tank is going to be the best role for tanking, but this fighter may be able to off tank, or you can equip this weapon. Now you don't want it to like no one wants to see like a ESO mentality where every class can do everything. The tank shouldn't be your main group healer, right? How's that gonna work? But you do want those classes that are dedicated to one specific thing, like the bards. Thank you so much for the follow. Like the bards are like not necessarily a buff bot, but they can do a lot of things. You can be a DPS bard. Yeah, the bards definitely have the best mobility by far currently as far as archetype sets in game. Yes, your previous comment was clarified. The classes are going to be intended to provide the most. Yeah. Like that secondary class choice is going to be big. Like you may get like once we see level 50 cleric, you may or level 50 tank, or let's say cleric, you're going to see more DPS skills. Maybe two more. Maybe you get two more. You get like two death spells, right? You siphon life from an enemy, and that gives you more divine power. You siphon life. That's a death spell. You're taking life from your enemy. That way you take it into your character, and now you got more divine power to give life and convert it to life to heal your allies or whatever, right? But yeah, let's save most of that for the secondary archetype system. I do agree. Um, I plan on going tank fighter, or tank cleric. I mean, this is just from what we know on paper, right? But I think tank fighter or tank cleric is going to be probably the way I want to go. I think tank fighter's a knight, tank cleric maybe a paladin. So that's going to be exciting. Something I will say, the Sunday right before I went live, someone gave me a good spell book. I don't think it had physical power on it, but it didn't matter. Someone gave me a spell book and it was a game changer. I did fix my range bug, by the way, for those of you that watched the streams and saw that I kept getting that bug when I used my range weapon slot. I think I did fix that bug finally. But they gave me a spell book because I thought the bow is what was bugging me out. Turned out it was just all my ranged attacks were bugged. But anyways, the spellbook tank was broken. Like spellbook tank, I'm gonna go over this in the guide, but spellbook was a game changer for all you that think like, oh, I'm physical, I'm gonna have to put a longbow on the back. Like spellbook, I'm not. Matter of fact, I may not even explain why, but just know, do spellbook. It's so much better as a ranged weapon. What'd you settle on? You had great sword and longbow, right?
Yep. To start with, I just picked up a bow and I went about my way.
Nice. Micah says, I hope tanks and clerics are PvP viable outside of groups. Having classes that can only survive 1v1 and not win feels rough. Yeah, I hear clerics are OP. Like in a 1v1, like it's the what you would call like a war of attrition, if you will, right? Like it's just like you may have more damage, you may even be the better player, but that archetype has self-healing and you don't. So eventually you're just gonna lose that battle because like you're not pressuring their mana enough. They got the healing, and yeah, it's gonna be a feels bad, man. But I think tanks mitigation can carry them, and having mitigation is gonna carry them the same way that healing is gonna carry a cleric. So they may be viable outside a group. So do keep that in mind. You get a crap ton of mitigation as the tank archetype. So I think you will be fine there. I think you will be fine. I mean, I won my one PvP encounter against Sawman UK, which I'm gonna bring up at least once a week. But just just throwing that out there. He was a bard.
Yeah, we
And
had
they
a
said nerf bard.
we were leveling at one point and it was me speaking of Sawman, it was me, Sawman, and Lobo running around like just kind of exploring the world. And Lobo's like on a level 4 tank, like very low level, and we were killing level 11, level 10 ads, and like we were pulling a few. He had no issues, and I was just like, God damn, man! Like if they had aggro on me, I would have been dead like immediately. Like fighter is so much squishier, and I was looking at him like, dude, like that's kind of wild that you're like 8 levels below this, and you're just like surviving decently well. You get a couple levels, it's going to be a huge difference.
True. Cool joke here says, oh wait, Tick here says, I was annoyed about the tank. I didn't feel like a tank the whole game. Tick, I'm curious, what level did you reach? Because I feel you, bro. What level did you reach on that Tick? I hit level 10. And I felt so much different. I think around 9 and 10. And apparently there's another power gap at 12. Cool Joke says, do you think a summoner with tank subclass will work as an off tank? Or would you have to be tank primary? Nope, I think that will work perfectly. In theory, there's going to be some pets that fulfill different roles, right? Especially if you choose tank as your secondary. You're going to be able to summon some pets that generate a lot of threat, hold aggro for you. Maybe some of the active skills of that tank, that summoner tank, will be a straight up taunt, like your pet taunts that thing, or maybe summon something temporary that taunts that boss until it dies in 8 seconds, or whatever the case may be. They have a lot of potential there, so I think you'll be more than fine. And we don't have much on the summoner in the wiki. Thank you for the follow, Sheepy. But I think Steven spoke to that directly. I think he spoke to that directly, that the summoner will be able to fulfill a variety of roles. It may not be the best. It may not be replace your cleric healer, but it could be some good off heals, I'm sure. Thanks for a follow, Micah. Appreciate the follows, you guys. You got to 9 on the tank. Give it level 10 once you get that Iron Aura passive. And it also depends on what skills you use and whatnot. Use that grapple. Thank you for the follow, Neo. Use that grapple. I always have grit on. There's never, I mean, I ain't gonna say never, because sometimes you want to do your, maybe you turn off that grit skill during that DPS window, because maybe you don't have a lot of courage to mitigate the offensive penalty. But I think you just keep that grit window up and generate a lot of threat for your group. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. It'll start feeling like a take next level once you get your gear. Yeah, the grapple is so good. It's so good for PvP. Appreciate the follow, Kuruda. Use block more than the other classes. Yeah, as it should, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you think you should be able to toggle one of your weapon slots off and have a 100% stat increase on your primary weapon to compensate? So you have the option to just have one weapon. That's a good question, Strangeness.
Who's an Oaken Soul gamer here?
Yeah, the one bar build. Some people may not just some people may not just find value in that range slot.
Yeah.
I get it.
I get it too.
Maybe there's a tank that just say, hey, I don't need to use that longbow. I'm not using that longbow often. Anything that's far away, I grapple or I charge towards them. I don't like the range weapon slot. I wish I could double down into my sword and board.
I totally get that.
I get it. I definitely get it. If maybe they introduce an item that lets you do something like that. I wouldn't be for changing it at this stage, but I get the desire to. And I think it should be fair. You don't want that ranged weapon, especially if a player's not using it, to feel just like a stat stick. But you should be weaving those range basic attacks into play. And I think as we play more, get used to the combat and get used to playing it more optimally, we'll figure out that that's the case. I unfortunately couldn't use my range attacks. As you guys saw, I had a annoying bug where I would use my ranged attacks and I would have to log out because I couldn't basic attack anymore. Sunday, I figured out the bug. It's one of the settings. I don't know which one, and I wish I could figured it out so I can tell Intrepid. But I changed a lot of settings at once, and I don't know which specific one fixed the bug for me. But yeah, yeah, it was just a weird bug, and I don't know if it's because no, because everyone, yeah, basic attacks are by default your left click and action cam. So it was definitely one of the settings that I chose. So I don't know. What's your take on Canon video? I watched the first 4 minutes of it, and I don't even think it was long, but I watched the first 4 minutes, and I think he's entitled to his opinion. I think it's especially for someone that doesn't follow the game, obviously as close as like you or I probably do. It's just going to be his opinion. You, you might be able to write it off as like, oh, he's not informed, like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But I mean, you got to understand that. Not saying Ashes of Creation is mainstream. Thank you for the follow, Tick. Not saying Ashes of Creation is mainstream, but we got to get used to the fact that there's more eyes on this project now.
Yes.
There's going to be, like there has been this previous weekend, there's going to be content creators coming out of the, like out of nowhere, out of the woodworks, giving their opinion on this game they probably heard about last week or saw somebody streaming. They're not reading the wiki to their kids at night, you know? They don't know as much as we do. And so instead of like react and obviously not talking about you, but instead of saying, hey, you know, I think Canon's videos was bad, or like, this didn't seem right. I think we don't need to, and I put this message out. You don't need to storm the comment section saying, oh, this is just an alpha. Oh, this is just a test. Just say, hey, this is the situation. Here's why this is that way, or this isn't this is not in polish, blah blah blah. Let's not rage. We got to get used to that there's more eyes on our baby now, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Nice, you said it really well. I think in general, a lot of us pour over all of the content, like, and we feel like we've read the wiki 10 times over, we've watched all the interviews, we know all this stuff, and some people haven't, and some people are a lot less knowledgeable about alphas than we are, and some of us, myself included, don't know much about alphas. And so it's like they're looking at it and they're trying to compare it to stuff that they know. And so you're going to see people compare alpha 2 to a game because they play games, and so they're going to compare it to the, like, they're going to draw comparisons to stuff that they know. And I know it's unfair, but at the same time they're trying to make that analogy for their following as well. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I get some of it, but like I didn't watch the canon video. I watched a lot of other feedback videos. I thought most of them were pretty reasonable. I thought they were honest. Like, yeah, there's some stuff. It's a lot of it's pretty cool. Some of it's not. Some of it's laggy. It's a bug. Like, it's a server test. Like, I thought a lot of it was very fair in general.
True. Real. And thanks for the follows. If I didn't say you guys already, Cruda, Tick Cave, and Rygor. Um, someone I'm sorry if I say this name wrong. No Banaga. Banaga says, I think they need a tutorial quest. The game is confusing for new/casual players.
Sure.
That's good feedback. I think that's fair and good feedback. I saw that soda pop in apparently a
Yeah.
popular Twitch
Raged.
streamer. Yeah, raged early. Like, what the hell do I go? Where's this? That is fair feedback. I think that is true. I think that's true. There just isn't enough direction. I know new player experience isn't at the forefront of networking phase one test of an alpha 2, but it would do them some justice to
Yes.
iron out that experience maybe by next weekend or at least before the November 8th phase. Improve the, which I think they already did that in a recent PTR, made it a little bit more obvious. I'm pretty sure I read that in the PTR patch notes. Don't quote me on it, but I'm like pretty sure. But yeah, the easier they make that sweat of brow or whatever it's called quest, the better, because players that haven't been following or didn't watch the Lionhold stream or haven't been following everything, they load into that game, they see everybody running plays, the server's going crap. They're like, okay, I need to do a quest over here in this beginner area. Where do I go? I've done this quest before in a testing, and when I got in, I was like, where do I go? Because they had moved the some of the artisan stations for that quest, and I'm like, where do I go? What do I do? What was the next step? Oh yeah. So imagine being brand new, and some games have very obvious quest markers on the map, and you're used to seeing that big old icon telling you where to go, or there's a beam of sky, like a beam going into the sky that you see from a very far distance, so that you know what direction you need to head over to to finish that quest line. And Intrepid did not nail that on the head, in my opinion. They didn't make it really obvious for new players. And by the way, here's some more feedback. Football, welcome on in. Here's some more feedback. They did not at all, at any point really. Well, maybe it's in the dialogue, to be fair. I may have skipped it, but at no point at the beginning of what sparked that, I think was the medallion into that quest line, I don't know, but long story short, at no point would a new player know that, hey, that's how you get your horse. You need to stick through this to get your horse. That wasn't super, it may have been mentioned, but it wasn't super obvious to a new player that's overwhelmed just trying to get through things, that, hey, you need to do all this. You need to go chop this tree. You need to go do this. You need to go do that to get your mount. So I think that's fair feedback. Yeah, they moved them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he quit. Yeah, the quest markers confused him.
Yeah, it does make sense, and I think that feedback is very important for the quest stuff because it's very rudimentary on where you go and things that you do. I do completely agree with that. And I think that was, although it was attached to a rage moment, I think that is valuable input on, like, hey, we need to make sure our quests are easy to see, easy to identify, a little bit easier to follow.
Yeah. So two good comments here. Appreciate you guys. Once again, thank you for the follows, Hook, Hyrux, and Boaner. Appreciate the follows. Appreciate you all. We do this live stream every week, every Tuesday evening, typically around 6:30, well, 7:30 Eastern. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for the follows. Make sure you guys follow No One. You'll find him in the Twitch category as well right now. It's really good doing this show with you. We have no script. We have no lay of show. Like, it's just straight up start the stream and start talking ashes with you guys. So I just want to thank you guys, the community, one
Thank
for
you guys.
providing feedback, right? Just for providing feedback. But I say this a lot, but you guys literally carry chat. Like you guys, you carry stream, excuse me. Like you guys just throw so many tangents, so many good takes. Just it just makes this really good. And our goal is always not to be on a pedestal telling you what you need to think about ashes. It's like, what do you think about ashes? Like, I wanted you guys to feel like you're just sitting in a room or chatting at a bar, just having a conversation. For some reason, you're out in public at a bar drinking and you're talking about ashes of creation. By the way, I want to do that IRL video one day. Maybe when we go to Vegas for launch, you and I will go to a bar and just yell at random strangers about ashes of creation, take shots,
I,
like, just take a shot. Have you heard about Vera?
I got the bar, man. I have a hook up there, so we'll get drinks for almost free.
Let's go. How many shots in? Right. We need a that'll be good. That'll be some fun times. Been watching you since Friday and loving your streams more than most. Appreciate that. Um, so here, let me get to these two comments. It says, Boanner says, I was talking to Lude Lloyd. Oh, wait, let me read Neil's comment above that. He says, there are many games that don't go very overboard on the quest guides and handholding. It would be nice to play a game that keeps things a bit more challenging. And then
Sure.
Boanner says, I was talking to Lude Lloyd about that. How much handholding they should do versus sandbox. Go figure it out. I completely agree that I do not like it's so obvious you go here to turn in the quest. However, I would say that specific quest, that new player experience. By the way, this was a question I asked to Steven, and they actually answered it during one of their monthly live streams. Like, will they have an onboarding / tutorial process, or how they want to go about that? And that's
Mhm.
essentially what Steven said. They don't want to handhold players, but do want some sort of onboarding process. And I think after that sweat of your brow quest, throw them into the world. Take away the obvious quest markers. Take away this. Take away that. Nothing for free. I think that's fine. I think for that very first quest where it's introducing you to how artisanship works, where it's telling you like, hey, this is where you get your mount.
Yeah.
That's the only time you should hold their hand. After that,
Yes.
you don't hold their hand and you let the kid just wander into the street and just hope they learn from when you held their hand.
Yep.
Just just let them go.
Like they
Dark
like
Souls
the
MMO facts.
like the old stereotype that they used to say with like kids from the 80s and 90s, like if the kid's going to go put his finger or something in the electric socket, just let them do it and then they won't do it again, which is a terrible way to parent, by the way. Absolutely do not do that. That's just something that they used to joke about. I think they should actually absolutely do stuff like that. Like, yeah, like we're going to give you an in-depth tutorial on how to do this, then you have to go do it. And I think that stuff is important because I literally messaged our chat yesterday. I was like, guys, does anybody have like the 411? Because I'm trying to learn as much as possible. So the better the learning curve I have, the better. But it's a little bit rough at first. It is. It's a little bit rough to like know exactly what you need to do besides chop tree, bring tree here, cut tree. Like knowing a little bit more would be nice.
Spam F.
Yeah.
Here we go. We got some good rebuttals. I love this. So Fireside Fuel Co says handholding needs to be 100% in an age where you can type in any quest ever made into YouTube and get a step-by-step instruction with video. Debate on how much is over. A toggle in setting to disable handholding for sure, but the downside of not having handholding is too big with no upside anymore. Interesting take. Handholding to show you systems,
Thank you, Lobster.
no handholding telling you what to do. I think that's fair. I like that comment there. And then here, someone else just said, where is it? I think one of the best tutorials is arcades. They teach you the basic. After that, you're on your own. Learn by failing. And then Tick said, I disagree with that. I think the questing system should hold the hand. Otherwise, you just push people to watch YouTube videos on every quest. Interesting. So I think that's where we got to come to like some sort of I guess loose agreement, or kind of right what the confines is on that, as far as what should be handheld. Like when we say no handholding, what does that exactly mean? Like how hardcore are you trying to go? Like how sandbox are you trying to go? If it's stuff like introducing you to artisanship or to sweat your brow quest, I think there should be handholding. Maybe some quest lines should probably obviously tell you where that guy is, right? Don't tell me go. I mean, some people want it as hardcore as like, hey, head east to Winstead and turn this in. And then there's no marker telling you where Winstead is, but you got to go, it's somewhere east. So some people want it that hardcore. Some people don't even want you to have a marker on your map. I don't think we need to go that hard. If it's basic quest stuff, I mean, I'd like a marker. I'd like an icon above the head. Um, but I think as long as I preferably would say as a final take, have it at the beginning. Have it at the beginning. Teach players all that stuff at the beginning. I'm not like too passionate about it, but I think if you're gonna do it at the beginning. Let players get acclimated because that new player experience is important for retention, as we
Very
saw a
important.
lot this weekend.
You don't want to deter people on your first new player experience. And if something feels bad right away, like you may not want to do it again, right? You that may just be like, man, if this isn't intuitive, what else isn't intuitive? Like those little things, like it doesn't have to like make or break the game. It doesn't have to make it amazing, but it can't just be like, this is bad. This is bad right away. Do I really want to spend time doing more? And I think that's how I would approach it.
Real. I want proper tutorials for the game, few quests to get the feel of things, and then I also want proper story arc, but I don't want to get spammed with quests. Somebody said main quest should be handholding, the other side quests can be a little bit more lax. I think that's fair. Fill the screen with a quest log arrow on the screen to show you how far, then minimal lines to get there, halfway step from auto running, takes the adventure out the game. Intro tutorial is all you need, and maybe a unique marker overhead, or it just breaks the entire immersion into the world. These are some good takes. Whether you agree with them or disagree with them, these are some good takes. You guys are cooking. An Eve Online learning curve approach in this game would be slightly over the top. Don't paint by numbers for everything. We need to find the balance.
Yep,
Interesting.
I agree.
Content creators need storylines and quests. Hey, that's offensive and true, probably. Yeah, I just think that new player. I don't want to see another soda popping situation. Let's put it like that, and not because that person's a streamer or you know. I just think that's just so important for retention. I think it's so important for retention. Everyone has their own opinions on how the game should be. I think we should just let Steven make it how he wants it to be. Facts. And to be fair, I mean, Steven has spoken on what his goals is for a new player experience. So I think we kind of got an idea. And I think
Yeah.
what most of us have, what has mostly been expressed in chat is what he's going for. It's not too extreme in one direction compared to the other. So I think we're in good hands. I think we're in good hands. Somebody else said the game is blurry. A lot of people are saying the game's blurry. Hope they can let us disable the DLSS. I need to find a Reddit post because I see this comment so much. Hell, just this stream, a lot of you have talked about the blurriness. No one here has talked about the blurriness. So I got to link you guys this Reddit post. Yeah, Viral says it's settings. There's something in the settings. There's some file you got to modify. I forget what it is, but maybe I need to go ahead and do it and hop on the PTR tonight or tomorrow and see how it looks. Because yeah. I find I probably setting for AMD cards. You'll get me the article. Yes, if you get the article, feel free to paste it in chat. Your GTX 1080 is super blurry. Oh no. Oh no. Well, you guys see what mine's look like. It's not too far off from what I see on my PC. Obviously, it's like the footage you see in the background is not like no, I think this footage is directly the footage you see here was recorded directly on my PC. If that gives you an idea, but obviously you're watching stream quality, right? Especially depending on where you're watching. So do keep that in mind. But I'm on medium. I got like a pretty basic PC. It's about 2 years old. I got a 3070 5060 is what I got. As far as graphic cards, GPU or whatever it goes. So I don't got like no top of the line PC. But it felt good. It did the job. I didn't have to go buy no new hardware or anything like that. So yeah.
It runs better than New World did on my computer.
Oh,
I think it runs a lot better. I'm not saying that the server connection is great. Obviously, that's what we're testing and everything. But like, I had to go through a lot of different settings for New World to get it to work well. to optimize and improve everything from a combat perspective. And
Yeah.
I hopped into this high settings, and there's still some issues I got to tweak. I do have to do a few things, but not as much as I did for New World. I don't think so.
Nice. Yeah, I think they I don't know. I may have got lucky, but everything was just perfectly fine. I didn't have to mess with anything. 6950 radon. Played really well on medium with a 3080 Ti and a 5600. Nice. I need to upgrade my hardware soon. I mean I don't need to, obviously, but I think I would like to. I think I would like to get like a more crisp presentation for you guys. We'll have a graphics card stream. I'll have a little dono button or something like that. This goes to my graphic card. But nah, I think my PC is fine, honestly. I haven't had any issues as far as all that goes. Nice. How do you think they will go about making Archmage unique from Mage? Of course, same goes for double classes. So I talked to somebody about this actually recently. It's pretty easy to speculate on what the dual class system will be, or dual archetype system
Yeah,
rather, like a tank cleric or what that's going to do. When it comes to speculating on the double down classes, like the double, like the mage, the tank, I would like to just see, because it's not really getting augmented, it's just getting enhanced. That's the difference,
yeah,
I think. So I would like to see your ball lightning, make it wider, last longer, travel faster. Some things may be as simple as you get a shorter cooldown on that active skill now. Because remember, your secondary class only augments slash modifies the active skill, right? With the, I guess, schools of the secondary one. I imagine dual primary like a mage is just gonna reduce cooldown, increase effectiveness, increase size, increase radius, stuff like that. Pretty simple stuff. I don't expect nothing too transformative. Maybe even change the color of the ball lightning, but I just hope they keep it simple. I hope Archmage, like I said, has like a larger ball lightning. It encompasses a much larger area. Maybe it's more brighter. It pulsates. Your blink doubles the distance. How does that sound? Like, yeah, a mage cleric, maybe you heal people or yourself at the end of the blink. Like you blink to location and there's like a small AoE burst, like little tiny burst heal that goes to everybody at the area. But
yeah.
if you go mage, that blink now has maybe not double the distance, but 50% increased distance on your blinks. That damage shield now doubles in strength or has 5 seconds knocked off the cooldown. I think stuff like that is how you want to balance this 64 class system and make each class actually feel unique from each other. What do you guys think about that?
I Yeah, I think when you look at things that you can do that from a very general perspective, which is not going to be everything. Like when you look at rogue backbar, like you can look at things and you're like, okay, rogue is my secondary archetype. What types of things can I have? Increased critical damage is like one of the first things that come to my mind. Fighter, obviously increased physical damage. Tank, increased mitigation. Bard, increased sustain. And then when you look at things like mage, you could do things like if fighter has increased physical damage, you could have mage be better with elemental damage. So if you go archmage, your elemental spells should hit probably a little bit harder than other mages that you choose. And so
Yes.
you can lean into that elemental power, which I think that'd be a really cool way to go about doing it, because then it's, you're master of the elements, you're master of AoEs, like what you're saying with AoE sizes and stuff like that. Like that's another part of that specific archetype that you could amplify and give them something like, yeah, you are the master of these things and now you get a better form of it. I think that's a really cool way to look at it.
True. Yo, I think we have some fellow theory crafters here in chat, man.
I think so.
They are cooking. So no bunga said evasion. So maybe after the blink, I don't know if this is what they meant, but they like maybe after the blink you get like an increased ranged evasion or something like that. But Will said would be cool if Mage would turn lightning ball into an icy lightning ball. Cyber Immersion says it should have at least one new spell that you don't have at all with just a regular mage. So maybe the double down on our archetype gives it access to maybe one or two new active skills. Um, then you have a goal says since there's 4 schools with a secondary archetype, I hope it would let you become a full-on frost mage by augmenting my lightning and fire skills. So maybe like the lightning bolt, I don't know, puts a burning dot or something like that. Miles, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate that. Uh, now listen to this one. Like mix the schools of the archetype you as you augment it. Yeah. So listen to this one from Cold Steel. Ball lightning. you click it again to detonate it for a stun, or pick an ability to
Sure.
split into 3 smaller ball lightnings like a moving wall. Wow,
Sure.
thank you for the follow, Townsend and Superman. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the
Yeah.
support.
You guys,
And we
I
got
think you guys
do
got
we
the
have more?
idea. Like
Yeah, like this
for what
these
an
are
archmage could be. Yeah.
these are good. Jiffy says, "Do we have info about the summoner?" Not since they last spoke about it. No, I think the last summoner video I did, and I've done 2 of them, is just as relevant as it is today. Mel with another cool one. You blink to a location and revert back to your location if you press it again. Picture that. You blink, you land there, and then as a mage, you have a timer above your blink bar now after you use it. The cooldown didn't start yet. You blink and it still says 3, 2, 1. You have 3 seconds to choose to blink back or teleport to your original location. So if you blink and someone gap close you, you can just go right back to that one. That would be so sick. Oh man, that would be so sick. They gotta let us, they gotta let us on the dev team. So they gotta let us on the dev team.
Let us
I
do
know we're biased,
voiceovers. Let us
chat,
on the
but we're
dev
the
team.
best. Let us. We gotta get one of them. Intrepid has to let us do voice acting, or we gotta like get on the combat team and design these active skills. Like it's just, I mean, come on, like come on. There's like you can't. There's an Intrepid employee right now spying on the stream, not letting themselves be known, right? And they're writing all this down, and they're gonna present it to Steven, like, look what I came up with, boss. And if I find out, I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna pull the
Good
timestamp, like,
idea.
hey, this is copyright infringement on the voices of Vera. This is property of me and X amount of people that was in chat. Is it the weekend yet? Yeah, no, we're not even close. Blink jab your opponent. Yeah, dude, there's so much potential. There's so much potential, man. So this has been amazing. I appreciate the support. We have 316 people in chat just on our end right now. This is awesome. Thank you guys so much for the support. We will be thank you for the follow. Anubis Razman. Thank you for the follow. We will be live this weekend. Maybe as soon as the server goes up. Depending on how my work schedule goes out. And I'm also going to be working on some videos to post expect another edited video. I was gonna do one this week, but honestly, I want to get some more footage. I don't want to just post a fluff video. Everyone's doing like a my thoughts on Ashes of Creation. We're gonna hold off on that for something quality. I want to get like a tank guide out to you. I want to get some more. I want to do like my thoughts on A2. Like after I get a little bit more hours in, we're gonna be doing a lot of streaming this weekend. Probably get a video this weekend and stuff like that. I can always apply at the website for any posted position as there is an open application. I should. You know what? Hey, I will get a whole campaign. I will have Intrepid's email box like hire nice, hashtag hire nice. Get it trending, you guys. Hashtag hire nice. Hire nice and no one. That would be good. Oh man. But yeah, we're gonna raid out. Let's
Thanks
see.
for hanging
Let's
out,
see.
guys.
Yes, thank you
Appreciate
guys
it.
so much for being here. If you haven't already, appreciate the follows, the subs. You guys have been awesome. This has been awesome. Oh, I never
Theory
get to
Forge?
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Never get the rate Theory Forge. They're usually like just Sundays or like early. So yeah, we're gonna rate over and see what good old Phantom X is talking about. Oh,
Phantom
he has a
Max?
key giveaway. Chat, he has a key giveaway. If you get your key and you want to give away your key to Nice Gaming, so I can do a key giveaway, and we just keep passing it around, that would be great. Not playing.
Double it and pass it to the next one. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go. Double it, pass it on. Buy enough of 2 key, hit double it, pass it on. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for the follows, likes, subs, channel memberships, everything like that. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys are following no one on Twitch as well. We could not do this without you, the voices of Vera. Thank you guys so much. Let's raid Theory Forge. And if you guys want to stick around for another second, I'm gonna see if I can. No, I don't think I can raid them on YouTube as well. I don't think they have the settings for it. But yeah, here we go. See you guys.
See you guys.
Should be raiding here in about 10 seconds or so. And while this is waiting, I'm gonna see if I can raid them on YouTube. See ya. All right, YouTube fam. We're gonna see if I can do this on YouTube as well. It's so much more complicated on YouTube. But if I can pull it off, it'll go down in YouTube history. How you
What is
doing?
up, no one? Two wonderful content creators. Anybody that's hanging